Chapter 172. Lei Minkai looked at the surprised Euphemia, who was hugging the half-a-man-tall tyrant bear plushie, then at the box of Strength Angel Gundam models in front of him. He then raised his head to look at the two kids who were sitting opposite him and sharing the octopus dumplings equally. Lei Minkai could not help but reveal a helpless smile. It turned out that in the beginning, the two kids didn't trust him in Euphemia, but they also didn't want to eat for free. Until he couldn't hold on any longer, the little boy suddenly remembered that when he entered the celebration venue, he received a free ticket that could be used to exchange for any amusement facility or booth. That was why the scene from before had occurred. Euphemia's tyrant bear plushie and the Strength Angel Gao Da's steel Pula model in front of him were the prizes that the two kids shot down in front of the shooting booth owner. Lei Minkai and Euphemia looked at each other and smiled. They didn't expect that in the end it would be like this. Two little friends. Thank you for your gifts. My name is Euphemia Libertania. What are your names? After Euphemia put the tyrant bear plushie aside, she tried to communicate with the two kids who were eating the octopus yaki. Oh, I'm our Delantai. She's my sister. Her name is Fanny Delantai. After the little boy swallowed the octopus yaki in his mouth, he first pointed at himself, then pointed at his sister and introduced himself. Hello, Sister Euphemia. I'm Fanny Delantai. Thank you, and Big Brother. The little girl showed a shy smile to Lei Minkai and Euphemia. Delantai. When Lei Minkai heard this surname, he immediately recalled what the little boy had said at the shooting booth before he started shooting. Lei Minkai was about to finish the octopus and took another serving of shumai from the other side of the table. Come, there's more here. Don't choke. Lei Minkai opened the box containing the shumai and handed it over. He pretended to be indifferent and asked casually, What's wrong? Your name is or Delantai, right? Just now, when I saw you beating the Tyrant Bear doll and the Strength Angel Gao Da's steel Pula model, you seem to have said something. That's what you shouted, right? With that said, Lei Minkai imitated the little boy and repeated the dialogue just now. But unexpectedly, when she heard Lei Minkai repeat the conversation just now, the obedient little girl suddenly reached out and pinched the little boy. She said reproachfully, Stupid brother. I told you not to learn from your father. Now we've been seen. The little boy, who was about to pick up the shumai to eat, was suddenly pinched by the little girl. He looked up blankly at Lei Minkai and nodded. Yes, that's right. That's something my father would only say when he's on a mission. Isn't it cool? As the little boy spoke, he also stretched out his hands and gestured. He even tightened his face and put on a focused look. This appearance also made Lei Minkai have some guesses in his mind. Delantai, Lakong. If this surname and name were combined with the current world, then there should be only one result. The two children sitting in front of him were likely to be the children of Lakong Stratos. It's just that he didn't know if they were Uncle Luo's or Brother Luo's. After thinking about this, Lei Minkai subconsciously began to observe the appearance of the two children. The same brown hair, green pupils. Except that Lei Minkai didn't know the details of Lakong's appearance at this time. It seemed that there were indeed some shadows of the Lakong that Lei Minkai was familiar with. Found the target. Sneaky siblings. At this moment, a sharp voice unique to a teenager sounded next to them. Everyone looked over and found two little boys who seemed to be printed from the same mold. They were about the same age as Or and pointed at Or and Fianni, who were eating shumai. Kai. Their faces are very similar to Or's. As soon as Euphemia saw the faces of the two little boys, she pulled Lei Minkai and said softly, Yes, they should be twins. Lei Minkai's gaze looked at the faces of the two little boys a few times, then shifted to Or's face. Indeed, their faces were really similar. Are they really the children of Uncle Luo and Brother Luo? It's you. As soon as Or saw them, he was first shocked, then immediately stuffed the shumai into the arms of his sister Fianni. While blocking in front of her, he shouted, This is the shumai that I exchanged with my own hands. I can't give it to you, brother. Actually, it's okay to give it to Brother All. We can't finish it anyway. Fianni whispered a few times behind Or's back and looked at the food that was still on the table. No, This is the food that we exchange with our own hands. We can't just let them eat it for free. Unexpectedly, Or's persistence surprised Ray Minkai and Euphemia a little. Logically speaking, with such similar faces, their relationship should not be considered close, but it should not be too far off. Why did Or's attitude look like he was guarding against thieves? Fianni's little mouth moved, but in the end, she did not continue to insist. TCH, who cares about your food? It's just that we're here to find you. The little boy standing on the left snorted and looked at Or with some disdain. I didn't expect that when we were looking for you, you were hiding here and eating. Good. When Annie comes, you'll get it. So what? Even if Mom comes, these are the things that we exchanged with our own hands. Or continued to insist. Ahem. Okay, stop arguing. Or, aren't you going to introduce your brothers? Friends? Ray Minkai coughed and tried to ease the atmosphere. Humph, who's friend with them? Or curled his lips and then obediently introduced to Ray Minkai. On the left is LOL Delantai. On the right is El Delantai. They're my and Fianni's cousins. Hello, I'm Ray Minkai. This is Euphemia Libertania. Just now, we happened to meet Or and Fianni, so we notified the organizer and waited here for someone to pick them up. Ray Minkai introduced himself in a friendly manner and then asked, "You the only ones who came pick them up?" The two little boys looked at each other and sized up Ray Minkai and Euphemia before shaking their heads and saying in unison, "No, we were just playing around. We were just playing around and saw and Fianni eating here. So we came over." Humph. Like I said, you saw us eating. That's why you came running over. After hearing Raul and Elle's confession, the little boy became even more protective of his sister. Fianni still hadn't finished eating the steamed dumai in her arms. Okay, you're hungry too, right? Let's eat together. There's so much to eat here anyway. Or, Fianni, is that okay? At this time, Euphemia came out to smooth things over. Looking at the gentle smile on Euphemia's face, Or, who was already reluctant, finally nodded and moved in with his sister to make room for Sophia. Thank you, big sister. Thank you, big brother. When Raul and Roland saw this, they thanked Lei Minkai and Euphemia again in unison. They then sat down as if they were familiar with the place and skillfully reached for the food on the table. Hey, that's ours. You guys eat that. When the LOL brothers reached out, Or began to grumble again. Who said so? You obviously didn't take it, and this box is still intact. LOL glanced at Or and retorted. This is something I exchanged with my own hands. If I say it is, then it is. Or clenched his teeth and said firmly. Pa! Ray Minkai saw that they were about to quarrel again and immediately knocked on each of their heads. There's still a lot of food. If it's not enough, I can go buy more. What's there to quarrel about? Look at Fianni, Elle, and the others. Isn't it good to eat quietly? Or and Raul turned their heads to look and found that their younger brother and sister were really sitting quietly in their seats, slowly eating their food. Oomph. I'll deal with you after we finish eating. Thus, after the vicious words were said in unison, there was a slightly loud, chewing sound. Was this a competition to see who could eat faster? Ray Minkai and Euphemia looked at the quickly disappearing food on the table and smiled helplessly again. What? These two little brats are fighting so fiercely. Fianni and Els, on the other hand, were quietly and obediently eating the food in front of them. They didn't fight with each other like their older brothers, who wanted to take all the food in their hands. Kai, should we order some takeout? Euphemia saw that more than half of the food on the table had been consumed and couldn't help but ask. I'll order now. Fortunately, this celebration had a takeout service, so Ray Minkai didn't have to repeat the previous experience of holding a huge pile of food and swaggering through the streets. Lei Minkai ordered another takeout, according to the food preferences of this group of brats. Then, he set his eyes on the Rollel's brothers who had just arrived. You're LOL, he's L, right? I'm LOL, he's L. Thank you, big brother, for treating us to food. After LOL ate the last meatball, he answered Ray Minkai's question with a trace of satisfaction. You only know how to eat for free. These are the things I exchanged with my spoils of war. L, who was indignant about eating all the meatballs, retorted loudly. Spoils of war? When LOL heard this, he subconsciously looked at the tyrant bear doll placed beside Euphemia, and the strength angel gout of steel pulla placed in front of Ray Minkai. Oh, so that's how it is. L, you actually used your mediocre skills to trick people. TSK, this is nothing. L, let's go. Let L see a real sniper. After making his declaration, Raul completely ignored Or's clamor. He directly pulled his younger brother and ran towards the shooting booth like a wisp of smoke. Ray Minkai blinked and hesitated in his heart. Should he follow them, or should he just sit here and wait? Kai, why don't you follow them? Euphemia also hesitated. Judging from the behavior of the Hour brothers just now, they should be very familiar with the situation here. Ray Minkai nodded, and just as he was about to get up and chase after them, he did not expect L to join forces and carry a tyrant bear doll that was bigger than the previous one that was half the height of a person. So fast, Ray Minkai was stunned and subconsciously looked up at the shooting booth. Even through the endless stream of people, Ray Minkai could still see that the owner of the shooting booth was on the verge of tears. It was estimated that not many owners of shooting booths would be kicked twice in less than half an hour. Moreover, the ones who kicked him were 4 little brats. Was there anything more tragic than this? The sniping talent of these children can't be so terrifying, right? In his previous life, Ray Minkai was also addicted to street shooting games for a while. He knew that the booth owner would definitely do something to the air gun in order to make more money, thus increasing the difficulty of the customers. However, even so, these crafty fellows were still able to hit the target with almost 100% accuracy. How could the children of Rune Stratos be so terrifying? Come, big sister, big brother. In order to thank you for treating us to food, these are my gifts to you in return. L put the bigger tyrant bear doll on the table with some effort and said to Euphemia, "Hey, thank you." Although Euphemia was a little surprised, she still happily accepted it. Chapter 173. Rock Leon Stratos. 2 generations of Rock Leon Stratos were standing in front of him, each holding their own children and lecturing them. This scene was something that Lei Minkai would not be able to forget for a very long time. Dad, big brother, and big sister are here. Don't lecture them for now. Okay? Feani, who had been sitting there eating obediently, saw that her brother was about to be scolded. She turned her eyes and revealed a timid expression. Okay, this seemingly obedient little girl wasn't easy to deal with. Hearing Feani's words, the 2 Rock Leon also understood the current situation. After looking at each other, they introduced themselves to Lei Minkai, one after another. You should be the young knight, Ray Minkai, who brought the princess to Starlight City? I am Neil Delantai. I am Lyle Delantai. These brats really need you to take care of them. Otherwise, if you let them run around, it would make it hard for us parents to find them. Hello, I am Ray Minkai. Nice to meet you. I am Euphemia Libertania. Nice to meet you. When the truth was in front of him, Ray Minkai found that he was much calmer. Ever since he came to this world, more and more famous people appeared in front of him, and he seemed to have gradually adapted to this new life. As expected, it's the knight and the princess. Lal looked left and right at Ray Minkai and Euphemia, and revealed an expression of as expected. All right, Lal, it's time for us to bring these brats back. Otherwise, Faye won't be able to wait. Neil shook his head and revealed an apologetic expression. Ray Minkai and Princess Euphemia, thank you very much for taking care of these brats. Unfortunately, we have some urgent matters to take care of and have to leave immediately. So please forgive us. No need. It's not a problem. We are also very happy to have met you. Especially these children. If there's a chance next time, please let them come and play with us. Euphemia smiled and waved her hand. Then, she suddenly thought of something. I'm afraid we won't be able to meet here next time. Neil and Lyle smiled at each other. Neil said, I understand very well, but I'm sure we'll meet again soon. At that time, I hope these brats won't cause any trouble for Her Highness. No, I'm looking forward to that day. After Euphemia finished speaking, she bent down, extended her hand, and shook hands with Raul, Feani, or with a smile. Raul, Feani, our L. I'll be waiting for you guys to come and play with me. Good. Big sister. We have a deal. The four little ones replied in unison. Ray Minkai, this is our contact method. Contact us when it's convenient. When the time comes, we'll prepare a thank you gift for you. Lyle snapped his fingers, and an email containing their contact information was sent to Ray Minkai's personal terminal. There's no need for a gift. As long as you treat me and UFFI as friends, it's fine. Ray Minkai shook his head, indicating that there was no need to go through so much trouble. Of course. Otherwise, these brats' mother will give me and Neil a headache for half a day. Ahem, right. Let's go. Seeing that Lyle was about to turn into an uncle complaining, Neil hurriedly coughed and took the lead, pulling his brats and turning to leave. Bye-bye, young knight and princess. After watching the two Rockies leave with their children, Euphemia sighed. They look like good fathers. When Ray Minkai heard this, he immediately realized something. Even though she was born in the royal family of the Britannia Empire, Euphemia's childhood only had memories of Cornelia and Lucio. Towards her elders, other than being afraid of her father, who was actually the emperor of the empire in name, there was only her longing for Princess Mariana V. Britannia. Therefore, Euphemia had never experienced the kinship between a father and a son. UFFI. Let's go. Otherwise, we might not be able to walk later. In order to deliberately divert Euphemia's attention, Ray Minkai chose the two half-a-person tall Tyrant Bear dolls as his targets. That's right. Then let's hurry back. Sure enough, when she saw more and more people, Euphemia immediately felt a headache from the two large dolls. That faint melancholy from before also vanished like smoke into thin air. Fortunately, when Ray Minkai and Euphemia were about to bring the two dolls back to the contestants' dormitory, their savior appeared. Beep beep. Two distinguished guests. Where do you want to go? Ray Minkai poked his head out from behind the dolls and saw Aslan, who he hadn't seen for a long time, still driving his eye-catching red sports car and parked it not far away. Aslan, I haven't seen you for a few days. After letting out a sigh of relief, Ray Minkai helped Euphemia put the dolls in the back compartment while greeting Aslan. Yes, after all, you were working hard to advance to the finals at that time. I didn't want to disturb you. Aslan nodded and then said, but congratulations on making it to the finals. Thank you. Now that I think about it, it was quite a hard time. Ray Minkai sighed. Yes, before the semifinals, we worked day and night to make and modify the steel pull model. Euphemia also nodded and sighed. But what you have to do now is to relax. Despite saying so, Aslan showed a hint of seriousness. Kai, we have to leave Shizuoka immediately. Right now. Why? Is there a mission? Ray Minkai frowned and asked. No, not all. But your kitten is about to wake up. In the end, Aslan could no longer maintain the seriousness on his face and almost collapsed. Kitten, Ray Minkai and Euphemia said in unison. Late at night, under Aslan's driving, the sports car carrying Ray Minkai and Euphemia slowly drove into Sinman and Meriton's villa. As soon as they entered the door, the first to be scared was Aslan. And what scared him was actually jumping all over the floor. A little toy with a round body. Harrow. Guest. Harrow. Aslan. Harrow. Kai. Harrow. UFFI. Looking at Harrow jumping all over the yard, Aslan's expression was frozen. This thing was not unfamiliar to Aslan. In his youth, Aslan had personally made many Harrow and gave them to Lux as a gift. He didn't expect that today, more than 10 years later, he would once again see Harrow jumping all over the floor. This, Harrow. Aslan was stunned. He subconsciously looked at Harrow, who was jumping all over the ground. He tried to find a mark that Harrow should have on him in his memory. In the end, he found nothing. It's not that person's Harrow. After confirming the situation, Aslan slowly breathed a sigh of relief. If he could not meet that person, it would be best not to. Otherwise, if he saw the face that was similar to his late wife Mia's, Aslan did not know how he should face it. Ray Minkai, who was standing at the side, glanced at Aslan and seemed to have guessed what was on Aslan's mind. This is a harrow made by Professor Hui from the Ministry of Justice. Although it is very similar to the harrow you made in the past, it is not the same on the inside. When Ray Minkai was explaining, Euphemia also made a timely demonstration for Aslan. Harrow, come here. Help me inform the professor that we are back. As Euphemia waved her hand, a pink harrow jumped out from the jumping harrow all over the floor and landed in Euphemia's hands. Then, it flipped up and unfolded a holographic projection in midair. Harrow, what's the matter? On the screen, a woman in a white coat was standing in front of the control panel with her back facing the camera, constantly adjusting the equipment. She was Hui from the Ministry of Justice, whom Aslan had not seen for a long time. Professor, it's me, Ray Minkai. Euphemia and I and Aslan are back. Ray Minkai spoke, trying to draw Hui's attention back from the control panel. Oh, it's Guy in UFFI. Yes, and the newcomer Aslan Sala is here too. Come over. Harrow will lead the way. After saying that, Hui, who was still adjusting the equipment, turned off the communication without looking back. It really wasn't me who made the harrow. After the communication was turned off, Aslan looked at the pink harrow that had returned to its original form and was turning slowly in Euphemia's hands and sighed. After all, it has been more than 10 years, hasn't it? Aslan, Ray Minkai said. Yes, more than 10 years. Now, this is my only wish. Aslan nodded, and his right hand subconsciously touched his left wrist. Seeing this, Ray Minkai and Euphemia did not say much. After letting Harrow and the rest lead the way, the three of them walked past the villa and came to the back garden. They entered the elevator that led to the underground laboratory and went straight down. Ding dong. When the elevator door opened, they saw Hui, who was waiting at the entrance of the elevator. Long time no see. Guy UFFI. And the newcomer Aslan Sala. Welcome. I'm Hui from the Research Institute. In the future, we will have many opportunities to work together. After greeting Ray Minkai and Euphemia, Hui turned her attention to Aslan. Hello, Doctor. I'm Aslan Sala. I will look forward to working with you. Aslan nodded calmly. All right, everyone is here. In that case, come with me. Guy, your kitten has entered the energy saturation period. She will wake up in a few days. As soon as he turned around, Hui from the Ministry of Justice once again confirmed this important piece of news for Lei Minkai. State 0. Is she going to wake up? Yes. Kitten has slept enough. She will naturally wake up. Chapter 174. In his free time, Ray Minkai had imagined what it would be like when State 0, which looked like a kitten but was actually a steel lion that was 10 meters tall and nearly 30 meters long, woke up. Would it let out an earth-shattering roar after struggling to break free from the safety lock that restricted its freedom? Or would it wave its laser claws that emitted a terrifying light and destroy everything, venting the energy that it had accumulated from its long slumber? These messy thoughts all collapsed when he saw the white cat lying on the table, occasionally reaching out its paws to play with the fur ball on the table. This, State 0. Ray Minkai pointed at the white cat in surprise. Although Ray Minkai could tell at first glance that the white cat was State 0, its current behavior was completely different from what Ray Minkai remembered. From the looks of it, it was just like a house cat that was attracted by the fur ball. This is State 0. Unlike the surprised Ray Minkai, Euphemia, who saw State 0 for the first time, quickly picked up the fur ball that was sent flying by State 0, handed it over, and played with State 0. On the other hand, Aslan, who did not know much about the situation, stood aside obediently and became a silent audience. Sigh, there seems to be a problem. Ministry of Justice, Hui shrugged her shoulders, took out a chocolate bar from her pocket, and said while holding it in her mouth, According to the situation that I just checked, it seems that there is too much energy. State Zero's main consciousness seems to be in a deeper state of recuperation. Ray Minkai listened, touched his chin, and thought for a while. In other words, the current State Zero is just a house cat. Ka. Ministry of Justice, sure, Hui bit off a section of the chocolate bar, chewed, and said vaguely, "You can say that. State Zero's current state should be the white cat's instinct controlling the body. It's really a cat." After playing with the fur ball for a while, Euphemia hugged State Zero in her arms. State Zero rubbed Euphemia's arms, then lay comfortably in Euphemia's arms and closed its eyes. It looked just like a docile house cat. Maybe it's because I was too careless. According to the original plan, the energy absorption should have stopped 3 days ago, but because I was delayed by research at that time, it ended up like this. Ministry of Justice, sure, Hui helplessly patted her forehead and shook her head in distress. As a rigorous scientific researcher, she should not have made such a low-level mistake. 3 days ago, Ray Minkai and Euphemia said in unison, "Wasn't it when we entered the top 16? Immediately, Ray Minkai also helplessly shook his head and looked at the white cat that was snoring comfortably under Euphemia's touch. "Doctor, when will State Zero's consciousness wake up? This will depend on its own ability." After all, the consequence of excessive energy absorption is either being stuffed to death or taking a long time to digest it. Looking at the current situation, there is no possibility of State Zero being stuffed to death. If there is, it will only take a long time to digest it. Finally, Ministry of Justice Sure Hui came to a conclusion about State Zero's current situation. Looks like you have to bring this cat to the finals. Aslan, who had been watching for a long time, also said the problem that gave Ray Minkai a headache. Could it be that they had to bring State Zero to the steel pull-up platform during the finals? Kai, bring State Zero back first. Maybe it will wake up tomorrow. Euphemia really liked State Zero in its current state. It was gentle, soft, and warm from head to toe. It felt great to the touch. Looking at State Zero's soft appearance, Ray Minkai could not help but sigh in his heart. Could that domineering and mighty steel lion come back? The answer to this question could not be found in a short period of time. What Ray Minkai knew was that when he bid farewell to Ministry of Justice Sure Hui the next morning, and Aslan sent them back to the conference venue, State Zero, which only followed the instincts of cat, once again conquered Takasaka Kana and Ella, who met Ray Minkai and the rest by chance. "Wow, what a cute kitten. Miss Euphemia, is this your pet?" Takasaka Kana, who loved cats, could not take her eyes off State Zero lying in Euphemia's arms. "You can say so. Its name is State Zero." Euphemia nodded and admitted this relationship. According to the usual practice, State Zero was indeed being raised by Ray Minkai and Euphemia. On the other side, Ray Minkai, who had just watched Aslan leave, had just taken a few steps toward Euphemia and the rest when he was blocked by a figure. "Yo, do you have time to talk to me?" A red short shirt, a hearty smile, a determined silhouette, and a face that was similar to Makoto Ito's. The identity of the person in front of him was obvious. He was Makoto Ito's father, the 3rd Fleet's MS Force Captain, Colonel EZ. "I'm free, Colonel." Ray Minkai immediately stood at attention and saluted EZ while shouting loudly. Euphemia, who was talking about State Zero with Takasaka Kana and the rest, also heard the commotion, but after seeing Ray Minkai's signal secretly sent over, she no longer paid attention to the situation at Ray Minkai's side. There's no need to be so grand. Besides, you're not an official inspector of the administration yet. Between us, it's better to be casual." EZ returned the salute and slapped Ray Minkai's shoulder. "Yes, Mr. EZ, I've really lost to you, kid." EZ shook his head helplessly and did not bother about the issue of how to address him. Instead, he brought Ray Minkai to the other side. Facing the breeze from the sea, EZ's voice reached Ray Minkai's ears. "First of all, congratulations on entering the finals. I didn't expect that there would be someone who accepted my willful mission." EZ laughed and showed an awkward expression. Could it be that Mr. EZ thought it was fun when you issued the mission? Ray Minkai heard and asked subconsciously. EZ shrugged his shoulders and said calmly, "Yes. Just now when I came down from the front line, I casually opened my personal terminal and saw the news that the Steel Pull-Up Battle World Tournament had started. Then, you thought it was fun and treated your son, Makoto Ito, as a boss and put it on the preliminary team's trial mission? Ha ha, you're absolutely right. That's it." When EZ heard Ray Minkai's speculation, he didn't even deny it and simply admitted the result of his momentary playfulness. Ray Minkai was helpless and secretly sighed. "Mr. EZ, at the beginning, Chung invited me to participate in the World Tournament with him. If it wasn't for your momentary playfulness, I'm afraid I would have already teamed up with Chung and entered the finals." "Is that so?" EZ was stunned and seemed to have not reacted. He didn't know that there was such a small episode between Ray Minkai and Makoto Ito. However, when he came back to his senses, he still laughed heartily. "Ha ha ha. It's okay. The current situation isn't bad either. Whether it's you or Chung, you both enter the finals." As he spoke, EZ stroked his chin and sighed proudly. "I didn't expect that my momentary playfulness could cause such a result. It feels good. So, Mr. EZ wants me to hold back? Or do you want me to do my best to defeat Chung?" Suddenly, Ray Minkai's words made EZ's expression freeze. "No, I want you to do your best to defeat Makoto Ito." Ray Minkai. After a long time, EZ's words slowly sounded. "Mr. EZ, you don't have to say much about this. Whether it's for the mission or for the final victory, I will do my best to defeat Chung and Lingshire." However, just as Ray Minkai finished speaking, EZ's following words stunned Ray Minkai. "No, that's not enough." Ray Minkai. "Not enough?" Ray Minkai furrowed his brows. "Yes. Kai." EZ's face became serious. His voice was slow and low. "Kai, you should already know what kind of situation we're facing. In this situation, Chung can't avoid all of this from happening, and he can't escape from it. For this, the best way is to let him participate." "Participate?" Ray Minkai was shocked and blurted out. "Colonel, are you going to send Chung to the battlefield?" "Yes, but not now. Chung is not mature enough. But this doesn't stop you from defeating him, and defeating him ruthlessly." EZ's eyes flashed with struggle, but he still said firmly, "So, I hope that before Chung steps in a battlefield, he can see with his own eyes what an active pilot looks like on the battlefield." "Colonel, are you serious?" "If that's the case, then the steel pull-a battle is no longer a steel pull-a battle. You and I both know this." Ray Minkai took a step back, and his expression became serious. If it was really as EZ said, then Ray Minkai, who was going all out, would definitely use any means to win, just like when he was piloting Lancelot. "Yes, that's it. Although I know that the steel pull-a battle shouldn't be like this. But in order to let Chung see with his own eyes the attitude of a warrior returning from the battlefield, I can only choose this. Is this father's choice, Colonel?" Ray Minkai was silent. "Yes, maybe this is wishful thinking on my part. But when the disaster called the Abyss comes, I hope that Chung can climb the Gao to protect his family and not run away with the steel pull-a model." Chapter 175. He didn't expect EZ's purpose to be so strict and even cruel. Although it was his son, Ray Minkai couldn't bear to make such a harsh decision for a 13-year-old child. Not to mention, the executor was himself. "Are you hesitating?" It wasn't difficult for EZ to guess Ray Minkai's thoughts. He knew that the world he was born in was a peaceful world, especially after the pioneers led the SPF authority to enter this world. Wars between countries were even more impossible to see. Isn't it a bit early? Chung is only 13 years old now. He's at least 3 years old before he can reluctantly accept war. This is my personal opinion. Ray Minkai was silent for a moment before he spoke his thoughts. "Is it too early?" EZ sighed silently and looked back at the calm sea in the distance. "In fact, I also think it's a bit early. But after I personally experienced the battle on a civilization that was eroded by the Abyss, I gradually lost the concept of age. Easy lifted his foot and lifted a small stone into the air. Then he caught it with his right hand and threw it into the sea while recalling the scenes he had experienced. Isidore, this is the civilization I encountered 4 years ago in the Z056 spacetime. Kai, do you know what was in front of me when I followed the Third Fleet into this spacetime and came into contact with the civilization? Ray Minkai shook his head silently. It was a battle. It was a group of 7 to 8 years old human children. They were struggling to hold individual weapons that were as tall as them, or even taller than them. They were crying, trembling, and fighting the abyss beast that rushed in front of them until the last moment. Iji's unwilling roar rang in his ears, and he saw Iji's tightly clenched fists that were still exerting force. Ray Minkai didn't know what to say for a while. Regarding the abyss, whether it was the original world of Sot's mechanical beasts or the world of Lu Lucio, Ray Minkai was only familiar with the giant monster, Asmodai. Other than that, Ray Minkai couldn't remember any information about the abyss. Although the process of contact was a bit difficult, in the end, we saved Isidore's last hope. At this point, a smile gradually appeared on Easy's face, but in the next moment, the smile quickly disappeared. Ray Minkai, if you've seen that hell, do you still think my decision is a bit too early? No, maybe it's just right. In the end, Ray Minkai voiced out the new idea that had surfaced in his mind. Is that so? Easy nodded with relief and raised a pat to mention on Ray Minkai's shoulder. I'll leave it to you. Yes, Captain. Isidore. SSSSSSSSSS. SSSSSSSSSSS. Isidore's civilization, Abyss Beast. This was the latest information Ray Minkai once again learned about the Abyss from the people here. Facing the breeze, Ray Minkai, who had been silent for a long time, sighed softly. For the continuation of the civilization. Yes. Suddenly, a somewhat unfamiliar but very familiar voice answered Ray Minkai's. State Zero? Upon hearing this voice, Ray Minkai immediately realized the other party's identity and turned around to look behind him. Rustle, rustle. The bushes by the side of the road shook, and a light and agile white figure jumped out and gently landed on the railing beside Ray Minkai. Long time no see. Kai. The pair of golden eyes looked up and sized up Ray Minkai. It seems that the peace of this world has made you sentimental. Kai. The white fur swayed gently in the breeze. The cute appearance matched with the cold voice. This contrast made Ray Minkai smile. Is it? Maybe it is. Long time no see. State Zero. You're finally awake? The white cat raised its little paw and waved. No, this is just a temporary awakening. The female doctor is right. I'm really full now, so I have to enter the dormant period to digest for a while. Did you really eat too much? State Zero. Aren't you a metal life form? How can you be full? Metal life form? Do you still think I'm one of those ordinary soft mechanical beasts? Kai, it seems that you haven't recovered much of your memory. Yes, I've gradually recalled other things, but I have no clue about the original world. What happened after that? Ray Minkai shrugged his shoulders, indicating that it was not his fault. I've forgotten too. State Zero's answer was very straightforward, so straightforward that it caught Ray Minkai off guard. Forgotten? Then why did you say that my memory hasn't recovered? So what? The truth is the truth. Kai, after this is over, go back to the princess world as soon as possible. State Zero jumped lightly on the railing and landed in front of Ray Minkai. It raised its golden pupils and stared into Ray Minkai's eyes. Why? Because we left some things there. After that, the white cat State Zero squatted in front of Ray Minkai and said slowly, Kai, before returning to the princess world, I'm afraid I have to sleep for a while. I'll leave this body in your care. Wait a minute. Ray Minkai's shout did not stop the white cat State Zero from sleeping. Instead, the moment Ray Minkai's voice sounded, the white cat State Zero's golden pupils suddenly darkened and turned back into a pair of azure, ocean-like blue pupils. Meow. In the blink of an eye, State Zero, who was chatting with Ray Minkai just now, had fallen asleep and was replaced by a genuine kitten. Ray Minkai reached out and pinched the back of the white cat's neck. He put the meowing white cat into his arms and smiled helplessly. It seems that I can escape the position of poop picker in a short period of time. At this time, Euphemia and the rest calls came from not far away. State Zero, where are you? Hearing the calls, Ray Minkai raised his hand and flicked the white cat State Zero's little head. I didn't expect a coal monster like you to also run away. Meow. White cat State Zero, who only relied on its instincts to move, looked up at Ray Minkai in confusion, as if it did not understand why its little head was flicked. After holding the white cat State Zero and turning around to meet up with Euphemia and the rest, Takasuka, who saw that the white cat State Zero had been found, pulled along Ella, who was completely confused by the situation, and found an excuse to slip away. Let's go. UFFI, where do you want to go? Ray Minkai, who handed the white cat State Zero back to Euphemia's care, looked around and found that the number of people at the celebration was gradually increasing. Let's just walk around. Guy, don't we need to prepare the body for the finals? Euphemia looked around and did not find any place she wanted to go. Not counting today, we have at least 5 days to rest and reorganize. No hurry. Ray Minkai smiled and turned his attention to the coffee shop not far away. From the signboard hanging at the entrance of the coffee shop, it seemed that there was a very good event today. Perhaps they could go and watch. Come, UFFI, let's go to that coffee shop. After making a decision, Ray Minkai held Euphemia's little hand, walked through the crowd, and came to the door of the coffee shop with a painted poster of Axis and Hongzuko hanging at the entrance. Shea Aznable's Days in Axis? Euphemia read the words on the poster and looked at Ray Minkai in confusion. Ray Minkai also shook his head in confusion. The only clue he could guess was the fragments that appeared in the portrait of the young comet. If it was really as Ray Minkai had guessed, then the event held in this coffee shop might be related to Shea Aznable's experience during the Axis period. Are you interested? UFFI. Well, let's go in and sit. Anyway, we have nothing to do. Euphemia nodded obediently. So, the two walked into the coffee shop together. As soon as they entered, Ray Minkai and Euphemia were surprised to find that compared to the increasing number of people outside, the environment of this coffee shop was much quieter. Even the customers were not many. Every customer sitting in a seat was either looking at the newspaper on the table or taking photos back and forth of the steel pull-a model in the display cabinet next to the seat. It seemed very quiet and orderly. 2 guests, the seats you booked have been arranged. Please follow me. At this time, a girl wearing a long-sleeved long skirt made uniform slowly walked in front of Ray Minkai and Euphemia and said respectfully, "The seats we booked?" Ray Minkai was stunned and didn't react. Coming to this coffee shop was Ray Minkai's impromptu idea. How could it be possible to book a seat in advance? However, the maid in front of them still respectfully bowed to Ray Minkai and Euphemia and said, "Yes, 2 guests. The seats you booked have been prepared. Please follow me." Minkai, let's follow them. Euphemia, who was looking around, pulled Ray Minkai's hand and said softly, "Okay." Ray Minkai nodded. "Thank you for your trouble. This is what we should do. Please follow me." The maid glanced at Euphemia discreetly before turning to lead the way. If it weren't for Euphemia, he would have changed the way he addressed Ray Minkai to "Master, you're back," which was a classic line of dialogue. Of course, Euphemia wouldn't know there was such an arrangement. And even if Ray Minkai knew, he wouldn't say it out loud. And as for why there was an order for the 2 of them in this coffee shop, under the maid's lead, when they saw the 2 people, their doubts were solved. It was a corner of the coffee shop. It was quiet and well lit. As long as you sat there quietly, you could see every corner of the coffee shop, and you could clearly see the pedestrians with different faces coming and going outside. In the sunlight scattered through the window, Ray Minkai saw a man and a woman sitting opposite each other. The woman had beautiful short golden hair, a pair of eyes that were crystalline and translucent like emeralds, and a dignified and beautiful appearance. The man had neat short black hair, a determined face, and brown pupils from time to time flashed with a peaceful and quiet light. From their appearance, the man and woman should be no more than 25 years old. "You're here. Please sit." As soon as the man and woman saw Lei Mingkai and Euphemia walking over under the lead of the maid, they took the initiative to give up their seats and let Lei Mingkai and Euphemia sit face to face with them. 2 cups of black tea. After Ray Mingkai ordered their tea, he looked back at the man and woman. "Are these the seats you booked? I'm very sorry. I hope our decision didn't bother you." Facing Ray Mingkai's question, the blonde woman first sincerely apologized and then introduced herself. "I'm Audrey Ben. He's my fiancé, Banaji Lynx. For some reason, we heard about you not long ago, so we wanted to take this opportunity to get to know you." "Audrey Ben? Banaji Lynx?" When the blonde woman spoke, Ray Mingkai's mind was shaken. He even couldn't help but turn his eyes, try to look at the calendar placed next to him to see what day it was. How come every famous person from the Gouda era appeared one after another? Now, the last descendant of the Zabi family and the heir of the Bister Financial Group appeared. But Ray Mingkai thought about it and realized that things weren't that simple. Audrey Ben, also known as Minerva Zabi, shouldn't be targeting him. Perhaps it could be Euphemia sitting next to him. "Hello, I'm Ray Mingkai. She's Euphemia Libertania." With a myriad of thoughts, Ray Mingkai still maintained a calm appearance and introduced himself. The blonde woman nodded slightly. After exchanging a glance with her fiancé, she went straight to the point and spoke of her intentions. "Euphemia Libertania, can you talk to me alone?" Euphemia's face froze. As a princess, she immediately sensed that something was wrong. But Euphemia knew that the other party didn't mean any harm. "Mingkai, can I?" Euphemia looked at Ray Mingkai and asked personally. Ray Mingkai didn't answer immediately, but looked at the man sitting next to the blonde woman. The other party was also looking at Ray Mingkai. The moment their eyes met, Ray Mingkai nodded. "All right. I also have some matters I wish to discuss with Lord Banaji Lynx. UFF5. Can I trouble you with State Zero?" "Okay." After the 2 women watched Ray Mingkai and Banaji go up to the rooftop of the coffee shop, the blonde woman put on a serious face and said loudly, "Please allow me to introduce myself again. I'm the current Duke of Guion Principality, Minerva Zabi. May I ask if the woman sitting opposite me is Her Highness Euphemia Libertania, the 3rd princess of the Holy Britannia Empire?" Hearing this, Euphemia gently put the white cat State Zero on the sofa, got up, twirled her skirt with both hands, and gave a dignified salute to the blonde woman, and respectfully replied, "Yes, I'm Euphemia Libertania, the 3rd princess of the Holy Britannia Empire. Greetings to the Duke. Please sit." After making a new greeting, Minerva nodded, let Euphemia sit down, and looked straight into Euphemia's eyes. "Her Highness Euphemia, the following question is not an inquiry as the current Duke of Guion Principality, but as a special inspector of the SPF authority under orders to ask you an inquiry. May I ask if you have any objections?" Euphemia shook her head. "No, First, it has been a while since Her Highness Euphemia came to this world. I wonder if Her Highness Euphemia's thoughts are still the same as before. Although there have been changes, I still want to return to my hometown." Euphemia did not hesitate and answered in one breath. "Second, does Her Highness Euphemia have any doubts about the current situation of her hometown, or even dissatisfaction?" "There are doubts, but far from dissatisfaction." The same straightforward answer. "Third, does Her Highness Euphemia have any intention of becoming an inspector of the SPF authority together with His Excellency Ray Mingkai?" This question made Euphemia hesitate for a moment, but soon Euphemia's eyes changed and became firm. "Yes, I want to be an inspector together with Mingkai." At this point, Minerva Zabur smiled gently and took the initiative to extend her right hand. "Then, my mission is complete. I hope that in the future, you and I will have the opportunity to work together." "Yes, and I hope so with all my heart, Duke." Chapter 176. When the bright sunlight shone down from the heavens onto the mortal world, it was torn to shreds by the grapevines that covered the rooftop. Only the snowflake-like specks of light remained, appearing somewhat dreamy. "Sorry, I need you to accompany me on a trip." That man revealed an apologetic smile. "No, actually, we all know that temporarily leaving is beneficial for the ladies to converse, right?" Ray Minkai shook his head, speaking his thoughts without minding. "Yes, you're right. After all, no matter if it's you or me, the woman we love isn't an ordinary person." The man nodded, saying these words naturally. "I never thought that the person who booked the seats for us was the heir of Guion Principality and the young master of Bister Financial Group." Ray Minkai smiled faintly, directly exposing the identity of the man in front of him, as well as the woman who was talking to Euphemia alone. "As expected, you're really as shrewd as Ray said." "Ray Minkai." The man shook his head slightly, his expression serious. "Please forgive us for hiding our identity. This is to avoid unnecessary trouble. I naturally understand this. It's fine if it's just the name Audrey Ben, but why do you still use Banaji links? There are many people in this world who understand the meaning of this name." Facing Ray Minkai's teasing, the man smiled helplessly. "I originally had the idea of using another fake name, but because of her whim, I had no choice but to continue using this name." Saying this, the man slowly took a breath and once again introduced himself seriously. "Although you should already know my real name, but now please let me introduce myself again. I'm Banaji Bister. As you know, I'm currently the current head of Bister Financial Group." "Current head?" Ray Minkai muttered, immediately thinking of the woman with Banaji, that is, Minerva Zabi. "I wonder if your princess has already." "Yes." The current Minerva Zabi, with the support of Marshal Robert and Sir Pioneer, has become the current Duke of Guion Principality. Banaji's confession made Ray Minkai sigh inwardly. Sure enough, he had discovered too many unexpected changes in the UC world he was familiar with. However, in general, he was happy to see these changes. After all, many people who had once made him feel sorry for them had survived in this world and obtained a better fate than their original fate. "So, you didn't come here this time just to treat us to a cup of black tea?" Since he had already spoken, Ray Minkai was no longer polite. "Hee, that was true. Then, please take a look at this." Banaji smiled and reached out to take out a badge from his bosom and handed it to Ray Minkai. Ray Minkai took it and looked at it carefully. He saw that in the dark background, there was a silhouette of the City of Stars. No, it should be said that it was the silhouette of the City of Stars. And around the silhouette, there was a ring with at least 50 stars circling around it. In the gap between the ring and the silhouette, there were two crossed swords passing through the back of the silhouette. Finally, at the place where the ring and the tip of the swords pointed, there were two olive leaves that split from the center. "This is the badge of the administration." Ray Minkai returned the badge to Banaji and asked, "Yes and no. This is the badge that the administration gives to every inspector." Banaji took the badge, but he didn't take it back. Instead, he continued to show it to Lei Minkai and introduced the secrets of the badge to Lei Minkai. Although most of the patrolmen's badges are about the same, there are still ranks within the patrolmen's organization. Ranks? Ray Minkai's eyes moved and noticed the ring around the silhouette of the City of Stars. This ring seemed to be golden, a golden color that flickered under the sun. "Looks like you've already noticed." Banaji nodded and continued. "Now, in the administration's files, I'm identified as a special inspector. Therefore, the badge I use as a golden ring as a conspicuous symbol." "She too?" "Yes. We're all special inspectors." Banaji took back his badge and took out two palm-sized boxes from his pocket. "Ray Minkai, these are your badges. As long as you go to the SPF Authority headquarters in the City of Stars after the finals and activate these two badges, then you'll become one of us." Looking at this sudden accident, Lei Minkai couldn't help but be taken aback. "Didn't you say that in—" When the words came to his mouth, Ray Minkai understood the meaning of this box. It was supposed to be a reward after the victory, but it was delivered to him before the finals. "This, I'm afraid this is a very clear signal. Victory is allowed, defeat is not allowed. Lei Mingkai sighed inwardly and shifted his gaze away from the box to look at Banaji. Looks like I have to accept this badge now. Banaji smiled faintly. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you accept it or not. We just feel that it's the best time to give it to you. The best time? Lei Mingkai pondered for a moment. He had a rough idea in his heart. The administration probably already saw through Lei Mingkai's, no, Euphemia's thoughts. In that case, I'll accept it first. The moment Lei Mingkai made his decision, he said again, regardless of whether I win in the finals or not, this badge will not be taken back, right? Of course. The badge given by the administration, other than death, there's no other way to destroy it. Banaji's smile was still on his face, but for some reason, Lei Mingkai's heart skipped a beat. Then, what about defection? Other than dying in battle, there is no other way to destroy the emblem, Banaji said again. Death? Lei Mingkai shrugged and sighed. It seems that we're still on a pirate ship. Yes, this is the most deceptive pirate ship in the entire universe and the entire dimensional world. How about it? Do you want to get off the ship? Banaji's eyes flashed with a smile, and he asked as he stretched out his right hand. Lei Mingkai closed his eyes and shook his head slowly. He stretched out his right hand and shook Banaji's right hand. How is that possible? This may be a pirate ship, but so what? Lei Mingkai's voice was firm. Then, I'll look forward to your performance in the finals. I hope that you won't let down this badge. Understood. Half an hour later, Lei Mingkai and Euphemia stood at the entrance of the coffee shop and said goodbye to Banaji and Minerva, then walked back to the dormitory. UFFI, what are you guys talking about? After leaving the crowd and arriving at a secluded riverside, Lei Mingkai opened his mouth. What did you guys talk about? Euphemia slowly stroked State Zero's little head, thought for a while, and replied, Actually, we didn't talk about much. Apart from the business at the beginning, we mostly talked about our own experiences. Your own experiences? Lei Mingkai raised his eyebrows and vaguely guessed it. Yes, I didn't expect that woman to be the current Duke of Gyuing Principality, Minerva Zabi. According to the UC history I know, Minerva Zabi should be in a semi-retired state, or even retired state. Euphemia stopped and leaned against the railing. She couldn't help but think about the information she crammed in this period of time. This is the wonder of this world. UFFI. Otherwise, why would you and I appear here? Lei Mingkai pondered for a while and reached into his pocket to take out one of the 2 boxes that Banaji gave him. UFFI. This should be yours. Take it. What is this? Euphemia took the box from Lei Mingkai's hands, but didn't have the intention to open it, because Euphemia's left hand was still holding the sleepy white cat, State Zero. It's the inspector's badge. That man, Banaji, asked us to bring this badge to the SPF Authority headquarters in Xingyao City after the finals and activate it. Inspector, Euphemia was surprised for a while, but then Euphemia couldn't help but be silent for a while. Kai, just now, Duke Minerva Zabi asked me 3 questions. 3 questions? Yes, 3 questions. Euphemia held the box in her hand tightly in her palm, and her voice was very clear as she recounted the 3 questions that she and Minerva Zabi had just answered. First, have my thoughts changed? Second, do I feel dissatisfied with my hometown? Third, do I have the desire to become an inspector? Lei Mingkai didn't immediately ask, but turned around and leaned against the railing like Euphemia, and then opened his mouth. UFFI, what's your answer? Kai, my answer is yes. Euphemia's voice gradually fell, and then what appeared in front of Lei Mingkai was Euphemia's determined face. Then, this badge has come at the right time. Lei Mingkai's gaze fell on the box in Euphemia's hand and nodded. Let's do things here first, then go back and persuade sister. Is that so? What if Her Highness Cornelia doesn't agree? Then it's up to you to subdue sister. Lei Mingkai was shocked when he heard this, and waved his hand repeatedly. UFFI, what are you talking about? Me subduing Her Highness Cornelia? What's this? Can't be denied. Kai, you are my knight. My orders are absolute. Euphemia put on a stern face and pretended to be majestic. However, this appearance didn't last long, and Euphemia couldn't hold on any longer, and she collapsed. Don't laugh. Kai. Euphemia, whose face was slightly red, glared at Ray Minkai, who couldn't help laughing, and said fiercely, "Yes, my lovely highness." Ray Minkai's face was stern, and he kept silent. The next moment, Euphemia turned her back to Ray Minkai. "Kai, I'm serious. If Sister Royal doesn't agree, I don't want to be enemies with her. So, before that, I hope you can control Sister Royal so that she won't be enemies with us." Ray Minkai's expression froze, and he subconsciously asked, "Is it just Her Highness Cornelia alone?" Euphemia's whole body trembled. Now that Ray Minkai couldn't see, Euphemia bit her lips tightly, and her face struggled for a while, but in the end, she nodded silently. "Yes, it was only Royal's sister. Only she can't be enemies with us. Otherwise, I don't know what I should do." Suddenly, a pair of strong and powerful arms pulled Euphemia into a warm embrace from behind. "Leave everything to me, my lovely highness. Since I can't let Her Highness Cornelia become our enemy, then, from the beginning, I will tie her to your side so that she can't use all the power she has. How about it?" "Yes." Pa, pa, pa. With the sound of paintballs exploding in the sky, the moment when the colorful clouds spread out, the Shizuoka Steel Polo World Competition venue, which had been jubilant for a week, finally ushered in the peak moment. "Everyone, hello everyone. I'm Steel Pula Idol Kiera. After a week, we meet again. Today is the most glorious and most important moment of this year's Copra World Competition. Standing in the center of the venue, standing on the Steel Pula platform that was watched by Steel Pula fans all over the world today, Kiera energetically gave the opening remarks of the finals. After a series of extremely difficult battles, the remaining two powerful Steel Pula fighters will launch their final charge to the championship today. I believe everyone is already familiar with them. So, before the finals begin, please follow me and shout out their names. Let's give them our blessings on their way to the championship." Kiera waved her left hand and signaled everyone to look at the first passage. The first to appear are the contestants from our country. Their names are Makoto Ito, Ling Shi. All of a sudden, the audience roared. The names of Makoto Ito and Ling Shi were constantly shouted from the audience's mouths, like rolling thunder constantly rolling over the venue. This scene made Makoto Ito, who was standing in the first passage, startled. "Ling Shi, I suddenly feel a little scared." For some reason, listening to the thunderous cries, Makoto Ito suddenly found that his legs were a little soft. "Hey, Chung, you've already come here. Don't tell me you're scared to the point of running home." Compared to the frightened Makoto Ito, Ling Shi was calm and collected. How could it be? Makoto Ito suddenly gathered all the courage in his body and drove himself step by step towards the center of the venue, towards the Steel Pula battle platform. The strange thing was, after leaving the first passage and walking amidst the thunderous cries of the audience, Makoto Ito's heart slowly calmed down, and his originally somewhat frivolous footsteps became firm and powerful. "Hey, I told you. Chung, this is the last battle. Let's go. Let's go." The moment the two stepped onto the Steel Pula battle platform, Kiera turned around and faced the audience on the other side, waving her hand and saying, "Then, next up is the most mysterious and powerful contestant in this finals. Ladies and gentlemen, please shout out his name with me." "Kai, Kai, Kai," thunder roared. Compared to Makoto Ito and Ling Shi's cries, it was even more sensational. The lights that shone down from the dome converged at the entrance of the tunnel, waiting for the man to appear. Ta, ta, footsteps sounded. The moment the figure appeared under the light, the Kawaguchi celebrities, Fellini, and the others sitting in the audience couldn't help but stand up. That is, under the light, Ray Minkai, dressed in black and with a cold expression, slowly stepped onto the Steel Pula battle platform. With a raise of his hand, a black Steel Pula model with scarlet flowing light flowing through the gaps was placed on the GP base. "Let the battle begin." Rei Minkai's voice was bone-chilling, as if he didn't recognize Makoto Ito and Lingshi standing opposite him. Kai, what happened? Makoto Ito was also dumbfounded. He couldn't understand why Rei Minkai suddenly became so cold and unapproachable. As the instigator, Iji sat beside his wife, Iji Lin, and nodded silently. It seemed that Rei Minkai had already fulfilled his request. Chapter 177. The main body was black, and there were traces of scarlet light flowing through the armor. The exterior of the armor was a strange-looking mech ever since Rei Minkai had placed this mecha on the GP base. It had attracted the attention of Kawaguchi Yum, Fellini, Yazaka Jinsei, and the others who were watching the finals. That mech, what is it? Fellini placed his hands on the railing and stared at the close-ups on the screen without blinking. That's not Pirate Gouda, and it doesn't look like the Tiger Leopard Cavalry. Kawaguchi Minami's eyebrows were tightly knitted behind his large sunglasses. No, Kawaguchi Minami. I could still see the shadow of the Pirate Gundam from above. Look at its arms. Although it's been painted, I'm sure it's still Pirate Gouda's shield generator. Yazaka Jinsei rubbed his chin as he observed the screen. Is that so? Fellini's eyes lit up as he looked at the screen according to Yazaka Jinsei's instructions. Sure enough, it was just as Maori Yazaka had said. The arms of the strange black mech were equipped with the shield generator used by the Pirate Gundam. Is that a modified Pirate Gouda? No, that's not Pirate Gouda. It's just using Pirate Gouda's shield generator. Kawaguchi Minami shook his head as he denied Yazaka Jinsei and Fellini's speculations. He then looked at the latest close-up. He saw a long-range weapon that had not appeared in most steel pull battles. A bow and arrow was firmly attached to the back of the mech. Other than that, Kawaguchi Minami could not find any other long-range weapons on the mech bow. An arrow? How is that possible? They even abandoned the Vulcan cannon. Yazaka Jinsei also noticed this and exclaimed, "What? They only have a bow, an arrow. What is Kai trying to do?" Fellini clenched his right fist as he slammed it on the railing. Is he going to forfeit just like that? As soon as he said this, Fellini immediately rejected this idea. No, there's no way that Kai would give up on this match so easily. Yes, Kai will not give up this match so easily. Kawaguchi Minami nodded as he stared at Rei Minkai standing behind the mech from afar. Maybe he has his own plans. Under their watchful eyes, the finals began. This time, the battle venue was still the first venue, the universe. However, the universe this time was still the Reef universe that appeared in UC0083. Unlike before, whether it was the Gundam controlled by Iji Chung and Ling Department, or Rei Minkai's strange black mecha, they were all arranged to stay in empty space above the Reef universe. Chung, can you see what kind of mech that guy is using? Lingshi, who has never taken the initiative to ask what type of mech the opponent is using, asked Makoto Ito for the first time after the match began. I don't know. It looks a bit like a pirate, but the armor it is equipped with doesn't have the outline of the Pirate Gouda. At this moment, Makoto Ito also fell into the same dilemma as Kawaguchi Minami. Black. If you want to know the name of this mech, then you can call it Black. Suddenly, Rei Minkai's cold, almost emotionless voice sounded. Black. Lingshi was taken aback, but he was immediately angered by Rei Minkai's cold voice that was different from usual. You bastard. What are you pretending for? You just made it to the finals. You're turning your back on us already? As they were talking, Lingshi took the initiative to attack. He controlled the interstellar assault Gouda to raise his hand and fired a shot at Rei Minkai's Black. Virum. The itchy particle beam blasted out of the muzzle and went straight to Black that was suspended in its original position. However, Rei Minkai did not care about the incoming particle beam attack at all. Instead, he controlled Black to reach out with its left hand and reach behind its back. A longbow appeared in his hand. Then, he reached back with his right hand and took out a cylindrical arrow from the quiver at his waist. He pulled the bow. He aimed. At the moment when the particle beam was about to reach its front, Black released its right hand and the arrow suddenly whizzed out, brazenly rushing towards the incoming particle beam. Boom! In just the blink of an eye, the flying arrow that collided with the particle beam exploded violently, setting off waves of billowing smoke and dust. It hit. Lingshire's eyes widened and subconsciously searched around the smoke and dust. No! Lingshire! Dodge it! Makoto Ito's shout made Lingshire instinctively control the interstellar assault Gao to dodge to the right. Immediately after, the moment when the interstellar assault Gauda dodged, a dense, flashing steel storm suddenly tore through the smoke that enveloped Black and attacked the interstellar assault Gauda from all directions. Fortunately, due to Makoto Ito's timely reminder and Lingshire's quick reaction, the interstellar assault Gauda did not suffer any damage from the sudden wave of attack. Even so, Makoto Ito and Lingshire were not happy. That was because when the interstellar assault Gauda dodged the sudden attack, a piece of wreckage that happened to float behind the interstellar assault Gauda became the scapegoat. Pata! 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 Before the sound of a rapid collision disappeared, an even louder and more violent explosion instantly became the main melody of the moment. In just a blink of an eye, the piece of wreckage that was almost the same size as the interstellar assault Gauda was easily drowned in the violent explosion and turned into nothingness. That? What kind of attack is that? Lingshire stared blankly at the storm that engulfed the wreckage in an instant. Lingshire, it's coming again. Retreat first. Makoto Ito, who had been paying attention to Black's movements, warned. Whoosh. When the interstellar assault Gauda moved rapidly again, a black shadow broke through the thick smoke and went straight to the location of the interstellar assault Gauda. Strangely, no matter how the interstellar assault Gauda dodged, the black shadow seemed to have grown eyes as it stared at the interstellar assault Gauda without letting go. What's going on? Could it be a floating cannon? Lingshire subconsciously recalled the memory of the battle with Ella. No, it's not a floating cannon. Makoto Ito denied this speculation. TSK, no matter what it is, it's fine as long as it explodes. Lingshire gritted his teeth and decisively chose the most violent and effective method. The interstellar assault Gauda made a turn and accelerated behind a piece of rock. After that, he accelerated again and rushed out from another direction. Before the black shadow could react, he raised his hand and shot. Boom! The light beam flashed, and the black shadow was hit. However, Makoto Ito's yell followed closely. Lingshire, dodge! Bang! It was the steel storm again. It was actually the same scene as before. The steel storm that came out of nowhere tore through the thick smoke of the explosion without any warning. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it rushed toward the galactic assault Gundam. TSK, what the hell is going on? Of course, although this attack was still strange, Lingshire still controlled the interstellar assault Gauda and forced the attack away. I don't know either, but it's definitely related to that black shadow. Speaking up to here, Makoto Ito's eyes flashed, and he immediately realized the key point. Black. He quickly turned his gaze and looked at where Black was. He saw Black drawing his bow and nocking an arrow. Once again, he locked on a Black, who had created an intergalactic assault machine from afar. Whoosh! The black shadow appeared again. Lingshire, dodge! Makoto Ito reminded Lingshire to dodge again. As expected, when the interstellar assault Gauda moved, the black shadow, which was the flying arrow shot by Black, would stare at the interstellar assault Gauda as if it had grown eyes. Floating missile! Floating missile! It's a floating missile! Lingshire, I should have guessed the black shadow's true identity. In a flash, Makoto Ito felt that he had already caught the black shadow's true identity. Oh, is that so? Then, does that mean that we can kill it? Lingshire laughed and stared at the black shadow that refused to let go of the interstellar assault Gauda. However, Lingshire, after destroying the black shadow, immediately moved at high speed and closed in on Black with his fastest speed. As long as the interstellar assault Gauda can pull Black into close combat, then it won't be able to use the floating missile anymore. Makoto Ito quickly arranged the next course of action. Oh, got it. After deciding on the course of action, Lingshur immediately began to move. The interstellar assault Gao Da raised his hand and shot out another accurate beam attack. Boom! During the explosion of the black shadow, the interstellar assault Gao Da's figure flashed and disappeared into the small-scale debris floating around the submerged reef sector, allowing the steel storm that erupted behind him to destroy the debris wantonly. Is he hiding? The disappearance of the interstellar assault Gao Da did not surprise Rei Minkai. On the contrary, the actions of Makoto Ito and Lingshur were proceeding as he had expected. Are you trying to pull me into a combat battle? Chung, Lingshur, now is not the time. Rei Minkai snorted and continued to move his hands. Under the control of Rei Minkai, Black reached out his right hand and took out 3 flying arrows from his waist and accelerated into the submerged reef sector. Since Makoto Ito and Lingshur wanted to drag Black into a combat battle, then Rei Minkai wanted to see if they had the ability to do so. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He drew his bow and shot continuously. The 3 flying arrows in Black's hand were shot into the shadow of the floating debris belt one after another. Then, Black raised his hand and drew his bow again, knocked an arrow, and shot at the gap on the right side that was filled with debris and debris. Whoosh! Boom! Before the flying arrow had even flown half the distance, a dazzling beam of light burst out from the shadows and accurately hit the flying arrow. The moment the flying arrow exploded, the cluster bombs that were hidden inside it suddenly burst out and rushed out from the inside of the flying arrow, rushing towards the submerged reef sector that was filled with debris and debris behind the smoke. In the blink of an eye, there was another series of roars and flickering flames. However, amidst the flickering flames, there was a barely visible square-shaped shadow that was rapidly growing in size until it rushed out from the depths of the sea of fire and pounced on Black in an extremely barbaric manner. And this square shadow turned out to be a piece of armor that had fallen off from the battleship. Seeing this happening, Rei Minkai calmly ordered Black to retreat quickly and drew his bow again. How can I let you have your way again? In the blink of an eye, a red dot appeared on the armor. The red dot grew larger and larger at an extremely fast speed until it melted through the armor. The red dot then converged into a beam blade in front of Black and headed straight for Black's head. Rei Minkai narrowed his eyes, and the bow in Black's hand that had been drawn to a full moon instantly burst out and shot out. It was not to hit the target. It was just to slow down the speed of the armor that was rushing towards him for a moment. Boom! The moment the flying arrow collided with the armored wreckage, the violent explosion caused the speed of the armored wreckage to decrease by 30%. The beam blade that extended from the back of the armored wreckage had no choice but to rapidly retreat from Black, until Black was completely out of the attack range of the beam blade. Damn it! Just as the Ling Division's disgruntled voice was heard, the Galactic Assault Gundam's silhouette also shot out from behind the remains of the Gundam's armor. It raised its hand and locked onto Black, firing 3 consecutive shots. Strangely, Black did not dodge the beam attack of Interstellar Assault Gouda. Instead, it stood there like a fool, waiting for the beam attack to arrive. Wong, wong, wong. The 3 particle beam attacks arrived in the blink of an eye, but nothing happened that could make Lingshur and Makoto Ito happy. On the contrary, their hearts sank. The moment the particle beam attacks touched Black's body, they disappeared without a trace. It was just like the buffer shield in Gao Da's hand. From the looks of it, how can it be? Chung, does that guy's body have the same function as a buffer shield? Ling Si's mouth was wide open as he subconsciously asked. I don't know, but I can't rule out this possibility. Makoto Ito shook his head. Although he did not want to admit it, the reality was as such. Makoto Ito and Lingshur were shocked, but Rei Minkai did not feel proud of Black's excellent performance. After all, this was the situation that should have happened in the plan. Chung, Lingshur, in a battle, you can't stay in the same place because of some accidents, or else you will be the ones to die. Snap! Under Rei Minkai's control, Black snapped his fingers. Then, in the shadow of the gravel belt around Interstellar Assault Gouda, 3 flashes of light burst out at the same time. A powerful explosion engulfed Interstellar Assault Gouda. Chapter 178. Is it over? Maori Yuzaka stood up abruptly and stared at the big screen that was filled with flashes of light from the explosion. No, not yet. Kawaguchi Nomi shook his head and stood up from his seat as well. He stared at the big screen that was filled with flashes of light from the explosion. They're here. Seiwa Lingshur and the others are still here. Following Fellini's excited yell, a beam of light broke through the light from the explosion and arrived in front of Black in the blink of an eye. However, Black merely tilted its body to the side, allowing the beam of light that suddenly tore through the light to arrive right in front of it to end up in a futile state. Boom! A small pebble behind Black was shattered by the beam of light. Hey, it's rare for you to cause such a commotion, but it doesn't seem like much. As soon as Lingshur's voice rang out, Interstellar Assault Gouda, who was drowned in the explosion, rushed out from the light and appeared in front of everyone once again. But so miserable. Interstellar Assault Gouda is injured. Kana Takasaka, who was sitting next to Iori Rinko, started tearing up when she saw the state of the Gundam that emerged from the explosion. Yes, too miserable. Under Rei Minkai's deliberate arrangement, Interstellar Assault Gouda, who was drowned in the trap laid by the 3 flying arrows, had one side of his V-shaped antenna blown off. Most of the left side of his face, including his left eye, was blown through. Even the most important buffer shield had a huge, glaring crack in it due to the explosion. Anyone with a discerning eye would know that the buffer shield was on the verge of collapse. As long as there was a slight external force exerted on it, the buffer shield would definitely be destroyed. Therefore, compared to the buffer shield, the other injuries on Interstellar Assault Gouda's body were nothing. Kai's goal is the buffer shield. Seeing Interstellar Assault Gouda's miserable state, Fellini exclaimed, I'm afraid that's it. Perhaps the explosion just now was just a cover. Guy's goal is most likely to be the buffer shield. Yuzaka sensed that there were not many arrows left on Black's waist. In other words, Guy's trump card is about to be revealed. Kawaguchi Nomi pondered for a moment. While raising this question, he focused all his attention on the finals. As controllers, both Lingshur and Makoto Ito knew that the buffer shield could no longer support them. However, this didn't mean that they would give up on the finals because of the buffer shield's collapse. Lingshur, Black did not have many arrows left. Watch your movements. Although I'm not sure if it's a floating missile or not. As long as it's fast enough, even if the Galactic Creation Gao doesn't have a buffer shield, it can still hold on until it runs out of flying arrows. Oh, understood. With Makoto Ito's reminder, Lingshur urged the Galactic Assault Gao to speed up again, attempting to launch a roundabout attack from the side. Be careful behind you. Lingshur. The moment the Galactic Assault Gao drew an arc in the air and was about to use the debris as cover to close in on Black, Makoto Ito's reminder came right after. TSK, you're really persistent. Lingshur cursed in his heart. He gestured for the Galactic Assault Gao to turn around and raise his gun, shooting down another arrow that appeared behind the Galactic Assault Gao. Wait. Lingshur, wait. At this moment, Makoto Ito suddenly shouted for Lingshur to stop shooting. Chung, what are you trying to do? The Ling Division didn't suspect anything. He had the Galactic Assault Gundam lower its muzzle and tried to speed up in an attempt to get rid of the flying arrow behind him. Later, when I give the order to shoot, Lingshur, you're going to shoot that arrow again. Makoto Ito didn't tell Lingshur why he didn't care about the arrow, but Lingshur nodded and agreed to Makoto Ito's request. You want to take a detour? While Makoto Ito was planning a new strategy, Rei Minkai wasn't idle either. At this moment, there was only one arrow left on Black's waist. As long as this arrow was shot out, Black's ammunition would be depleted. In that case, Makoto Ito and Lingshur might be very happy. With that thought in mind, Raymond Kai's lips curled up slightly. The next moment, Black raised his hands once again, pulled the bow, knocked the arrow, and pulled it to a full moon. Black's red eyes flashed, and the last flying arrow whizzed out, flying in the opposite direction of the Gundam's movement. All right, no more ammo. The moment the last arrow disappeared into the darkness, a blinding flash suddenly appeared from the direction of the galactic assault Gao the hit. Ray Minkai secretly said, but immediately overturned this assumption. No, it didn't hit. It was Galactic's assault Gundam that took the initiative to destroy the arrow. Ray Minkai looked around, but didn't find any trace of the galactic assault Gao. He took the opportunity to hide when the flash appeared. As soon as this thought appeared, Ray Minkai's heart was suddenly alarmed. Got you, bastard. Suddenly, Lingshire's voice rang in Ray Minkai's ears without any warning. Ray Minkai's heart tightened, and he instinctively controlled Black to take the longbow in his hand and sweep it behind him. Boom! In an instant, a strong force spread from the longbow and quickly attacked Black's entire body. Under this continuous attack, Black was actually unable to stand still. He took a few steps back, and when he was about to forcefully activate the thrusters to stabilize his posture, he finally managed to stabilize his body. As it turned out, during the pursuit just now, Makoto Ito had already noticed the arrow that Black shot out again, and almost at the same time, he thought a way to use this arrow to reach Black without being discovered in the shortest time possible. Therefore, when the galactic assault Gao Da's figure rushed into the rubble not far away, Makoto Ito immediately ordered Lingshire to shoot the arrow and tried to use the explosion of the arrow to attract Ray Minkai's attention. Then, taking advantage of this gap, with a spurt of energy, he launched a surprise attack on the black-haired man with the enhanced combat power brought by the RG system. The RG system. Ray Minkai's gaze pierced through the dust flying in the air and landed on the figure that was swinging his fist. Yes, the RG system. This is our RG Iron Fist. Lingshire snorted and said proudly. However, Ray Minkai only replied calmly. Is that so? Looks like it's not a big deal. Even Black's longbow can't destroy it. As Ray Minkai's voice fell, Black waved the longbow in his hand and let Lingshire and Makoto Ito see what the RG Iron Fist that they were so proud of could do. It's actually fine. How is that possible? It was a direct hit. Makoto Ito was shocked, and he looked at the undamaged longbow in Black's hand. Oomph. I'll let you see why Black only has one longbow as a weapon. In Ray Minkai's sneer, the longbow that no longer had any flying arrows was once again raised by Black and aimed at interstellar assault Gao across the air. Hey, why do you still want to shoot arrows? Your steel pulla is out of ammunition. Lingshire smiled and tried to provoke Ray Minkai with words while preparing to dodge. In the previous exchange, Lingshire, who had suffered a few times, had raised all his attention so that he would not make the same mistake again. Lingshire, dodge. Boom. Suddenly, the moment Makoto Ito's voice sounded, Lingshire instinctively dodged. A light flashed. The right shoulder of the Galactic Assault Gundam, which had already made a dodging motion, was blasted apart. What's going on? Lingshire, who was shocked, did not stay where he was. Instead, he moved even faster to escape from Black's shooting range and hid in the dense debris. Unlike interstellar assault Gao, who once again flashed into the debris, Black, who was standing in the same place, slowly put down his hands, and the longbow in his hand still had traces of light condensed from particles. He can condense particles into light arrows. What did that guy do to the steel pulla? Such a degree of modification has never been seen in the previous Steel Pulla World Championship. Kawaguchi Celebrity suddenly grabbed the railing excitedly and said with a hoarse voice, even the previous two generations of Kawaguchi celebrities had never tried, no, never imagined such a steel pulla model. That's right. Maybe this is a brand new steel pulla model. Yazaka Maori also clenched his fists excitedly, and his squinted eyes were already wide open, staring at the big screen. Unlike the excited Kawaguchi celebrity and Yazaka Maori, Makoto Ito, who was the opponent, was both excited and complaining in his heart. Lingshur, even though Black's long-range weapon is only a longbow, it seems like it's hard for us to break through and drag him into a melee battle. Is it because of the light arrow? Lingshur frowned. Even though the light arrow was only a glimpse, Lingshur knew that if it had hit the center of Black's body instead of the right shoulder armor, the match would have been over. Chung, since it's a particle beam, there should be a time interval between the shots. Can you calculate it? Lingshur gritted his teeth and tried to find a feasible way. Makoto Ito frowned. I need more observation. Understood. Lingshur agreed, and Interstellar Assault Gao charged out from the shadow of the wreckage. It was just a hair's breadth away. A light arrow arrived the moment Interstellar Assault Gao appeared, and it accurately hit the buffer shield on Interstellar Assault Gao's left arm. Lingshur didn't say anything as he quickly threw the damaged buffer shield away from Interstellar Assault Gao's arm. Boom! When the buffer shield exploded with its final light, Interstellar Assault Gao once again charged behind the debris not far away. Chung, how is it? Did you see it? Lingshur couldn't help but wipe off the cold sweat on his forehead. If the light arrow had moved a little higher, it wouldn't have hit the buffer shield. How did that bastard know Interstellar Assault Gao's position? Before that, Lingshur had already secretly changed his position a few times. Who knew? What answered Lingshur was Makoto Ito's bitter smile. Although it was only once, I already guessed it. Lingshur, the speed of the light arrow was very fast, almost as fast as Interstellar Assault Gao's beam rifle. That's it. Facing Makoto Ito's bitter smile, Lingshur's answer was even more surprising. If it's only this speed, Interstellar Assault Gao's speed can be broken through. No, it won't work. Makoto Ito pointed at the debris around Interstellar Assault Gao. When Lingshur saw it, he couldn't help but reveal the same helplessness as Makoto Ito. Unknowingly, the distance between Interstellar Assault Gao and Black had started to pull apart. From that moment on, Interstellar Assault Gao had already pulled apart a distance from Black. It was impossible for Black to rush up in a short period of time and enter the combat range. At this moment, several flashes of light suddenly rose, one after another flying past the debris where Interstellar Assault Gao was hiding. We've been discovered. What answered Lingshur was an explosion. Boom! The debris where Interstellar Assault Gao was hiding trembled nonstop. Cracks appeared on the debris in front of Lingshur's eyes, tearing the debris apart at an incomparable speed. Boom! Immediately after, when this even more violent explosion tore apart the debris where Interstellar Assault Gao was hiding, it also sent Interstellar Assault Gao flying. The incomparably violent impact caused Interstellar Assault Gao to lose control. He could only go with the flow of this violent impact, rolling around uncontrollably. Chung, quick! Interstellar Assault Gao can't move. Lingshur's eyes were wide open as he tried to restore Interstellar Assault Gao's control. I'm doing it! Clang! Suddenly, a series of crashing sounds attracted Makoto Ito's attention, causing him to subconsciously pause the mission in his hand and raise his head to look at the surveillance screen in front of him. The next moment, Makoto Ito's eyes widened, and his excited voice carried a hint of surprise. Lingshur, I know how to get close to Black. The explosion that destroyed the debris gradually subsided. In front of Black's eyes, Interstellar Assault Gao's figure could no longer be seen. This caused Ray Minkai to have a trace of doubt. UFFI, the moment he subconsciously let UFFI investigate, Ray Minkai suddenly remembered that before the finals began, he had let Euphemia stay in the audience and watch the finals as a spectator. Is this considered male chauvinism? Ray Minkai's mouth twitched, but he immediately focused his gaze and stared at the area not far away that was filled with debris. Suddenly, several black shadows broke through the air. Black's eyes flashed, and the longbow in his hand was drawn a few times, shooting out several light arrows, intercepting the black shadows halfway. Boom! 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 The black shadows exploded. An even bigger and darker shadow quickly broke through the encirclement of the debris and headed straight for Black. Chapter 179. The debris was pushed away by the gigantic shadow as it swept across the void with a powerful momentum, knocking away all obstacles in its way. Even in the process of the collision, the debris itself would shatter. The scattered rubble didn't attract Ray's or Lei Mingkai's attention. The only thing that caught their attention was the black shadow that had smashed through the rubble and appeared in front of them in a domineering manner. The battleship. The Magellan-class cruiser. They actually let this thing in. Lei Mingkai's pupil shrunk as he said in surprise. Although the appearance of the Magellan class had surprised Lei Mingkai, he did not panic at all, because as long as he paid a little attention to the Magellan-class cruiser that suddenly appeared on the battlefield, he could clearly see the large and small scars on its body, as well as the huge hole in the turret that was pierced through by powerful attacks. Such a battleship riddled with scars would undoubtedly only appear on this battlefield after a fierce battle. And the formation of this submerged reef sector was mostly due to the Great War of Rumus. Even so, I didn't expect Chung and Lingshi to be able to find this thing. The steel pulla combat system is really surprising. While he was amazed, Lei Mingkai had already understood the intention of Makoto Ito and Lingshi. That's right. Although the Magellan-class cruiser was damaged, it unexpectedly still retained the basic ability to sail. As long as one could see the dazzling flame behind the Magellan-class cruiser, it was not difficult to understand the intention of Makoto Ito and Lingshi. A shield, as Lei Mingkai asked himself in a low voice. Black raised the longbow in his hand and locked on to the Magellan-class cruiser that was charging straight at Black, breaking through the debris in a tyrannical manner. As Black pulled the longbow open with both hands, a shining fluorescent light slowly emerged from the void and quickly condensed into a faintly discernible bowstring between Black's hands. The moment the bowstring connected Black's hands to the bow, a beam arrow filled with the light of Palevsky particles appeared in front of everyone's eyes. That's Lamia's? No, that's not right. Although it looks like it, it's not Lamia's move. Is it a move that the young man created himself? Once again, the old man came to the Shizuoka Tempula World Tournament with Himimi and Himimi. He was watching the finals with a serious expression on his face. He was looking back and forth at Black, who was drawing her bow. Lamia? Grandpa, is she the person you met when you entered the world last time? Little Snow's hand that was twirling the pipe in her hand, and she immediately became interested. And you can say so. She's a woman that's hard to evaluate. The old man nodded and gave an ambiguous evaluation. Is that so? I wonder where that person is now. Himimi turned her eyes and tried to ask the old man about Lamia's whereabouts. She's no longer there. That world has sunk in the turmoil of the abyss. And Lamia is also the main culprit. The old man shook his head and sighed. This is the uncertainties of the world. Mimi, Little Snow, you should be careful in the future. In the end, when the old man recalled that Lamia actually chose to give up herself, give up hope, and give up the future of the world, he couldn't help but exhort his two beloved granddaughters. Although there was no blood relationship between them. As soon as the words came out, the old man immediately realized that he seemed to have inadvertently destroyed the atmosphere of the finals. Cough, cough. Mimi, Little Snow, about Lamia, let's talk about it later. Now, let's watch the finals. Mimi and Little Snow looked at each other and nodded their heads. Then, they refocused their attention on the Steel Polo World Tournament. Although the old man's words seemed to be very long, in fact, it didn't take much time. When Mimi and Little Snow refocused their attention on the battle between Lei Mingkai, Makoto Ito, and Lingshi, the particle beam condensed by Black just happened to reach its peak state. Before the beam arrow filled with countless particles of brilliance was shot out from the longbow in Black's hand, the surrounding void had already shown a slight distortion phenomenon. It could be seen that the beam arrow deliberately condensed by Lei Mingkai and even Black contained a terrifying amount of energy. The beam arrow was aimed at the Magellan-class cruiser that had accelerated to the limit. With the current speed of the Magellan-class cruiser that was so broken that it only had the ability to move, even if it didn't have any attack ability, as long as it relied on its huge mass to directly collide with Black and hit Black, then the future that greeted Black was the ending of being torn apart. Of course, with its high mobility, Black could easily dodge the Magellan-class cruiser before it collided with Black. However, Rei Minkai didn't want to do that. What he wanted was to completely defeat Makoto Ito and Linkshire. So, at this time, the beam arrow condensed in Black's hand was the manifestation of his will. Close, close, close. The broken bow of the Magellan cruiser had expanded from its original size to its original size. It rushed to the front of Black along with countless rolling stones. Just a minute, no, not even half a minute, and Black would definitely be hit by the broken Magellan-class cruiser and be torn apart. At this critical moment, Black's right hand loosened, and the beam arrow that had been charging for a long time suddenly shot out from the longbow. In the blink of an eye, before the trajectory in the void had completely disappeared, the beam arrow that had been charging for a long time sank into the bow of the Magellan-class cruiser. Then silence. It disappeared. It didn't work. Fellini narrowed his eyes and asked subconsciously. When Black's beam arrow was ready to be fired, Fellini was captivated by the elegant demeanor displayed by Black's every move. It could be said that Black's performance had unquestionably opened a door for Fellini, a door that allowed him to enter a higher level of combat with temper. No, it's working. Kawaguchi Minami raised his finger and pointed at the big screen. The beam arrow shot by Black suddenly disappeared when it hit the bow of the Magellan-class cruiser. It was not because the particle beam arrow lost its effect, but because the beam arrow shot by Black penetrated the body of the cruiser in a mysterious way, and then at a certain point in time, it exploded with a loud bang. Boom! A loud bang. A burst of dazzling light burst out from the body of the cruiser in an instant, releasing the ferocious energy that was enough to tear the void apart. Rumble. When the sound of the explosion released by the Steel Pulla Battle System's simulation sound effect system was still shaking the ears of the audience, a figure dragging a faintly discernible fluorescent light suddenly rushed out from the explosion of the Magellan-class cruiser, drawing a constantly twisting and turning flight path in the void. It had already rushed to the front of Black. "I've finally caught you. Eat my fist." As soon as Linkshire shouted, the figure that was emitting light blue fluorescent light immediately waved its pair of iron fists, smashing towards Black like raindrops. Bang! 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 As the iron fists were waving, it had already fought back and forth with the longbow in Black's hand for dozens of rounds, but it still could not do anything to the longbow in Black's hand. "Is this the RG Iron Fist that you're so proud of?" Black moved its left foot, and then it flew up and kicked the figure that was constantly waving its iron fists at it, which was also the interstellar creation Assault Gouda, and then it took a few more steps back, raising the bow, aiming, shooting, but it was not easy for Makoto Ito to rely on the wreckage of the Magellan-class cruiser that suddenly appeared in the submerged reef universe to make a desperate dash to Black's side. Makoto Ito and the others would not just watch Black pull away from the interstellar creation Assault Gouda again. "Chung!" Linkshire shouted, and his hands moved continuously, making the interstellar creation Assault Gouda to step on the gravel under his feet, and rushed at the retreating Black at full speed with the maximum power of the thruster. "Understood. RG system fully unleashed." Makoto Ito, who knew that he could not miss this opportunity, quickly increased the output of the RG system to the maximum. Buzz! A light flashed in front, and the longbow in Black's hand was drawn again. "How can I let you run away? Kai! RG Iron Fist!" Seeing that the light in front of him was getting brighter, Lingshire's eyes widened, and the interstellar creation Assault Gao had to raise his right hand, wave his fist, and smash straight on the particle beam arrow shot by Black. Buzz! A deafening sound of particles colliding with each other swept across the entire battlefield. Then, The moment the particle beam arrow completely dissipated, the interstellar creation Assault Gouda, who did not suffer any damage from the particle beam arrow, once again appeared on the big screen. He's fine. Is the RG system fully unleashed? Although he was a little surprised, Ray Minkai was not surprised at all. On the contrary, Ray Minkai did not stay idle, and he once again controlled Black to shoot 3 particle beam arrows consecutively, locking onto the interstellar creation Assault Gouda's head, chest, abdomen, and feet respectively. However, the moment these 3 particle beam arrows swept across the void and rushed to the front of the interstellar creation Assault Gouda, they were easily defeated by the interstellar creation Assault Gouda with 2 punches and 1 kick. Kai, your attack is ineffective. Die. Lingshur, who was finally able to suppress Black, shouted as he controlled the interstellar creation Assault Gouda to rush to the front of Black. Another round of punches and kicks. Since the beginning of the battle, Lingshur, who had suffered many beatings because of the distance between them, would never let Ray Minkai and Black have the chance to retreat. Therefore, according to Makoto Ito and Lingshur's plan, they would use the maximum power of the RG system to entangle Black and force it to fight the interstellar creation Gouda. In this way, Makoto Ito and Lingshur's chances of winning would be increased by a lot. Therefore, they seized every opportunity to close in on Black, forcing it into the battle that Lingshur and the interstellar creation Assault Gouda were good at. Lingshur could be said to be holding back his strength, fully displaying the performance of the interstellar creation Assault Gouda to the fullest. As the punches and kicks rose and fell, Black, who was able to block the interstellar creation Assault Gouda's attacks with just a longbow, had to move back and forth, dodging the increasingly fierce attacks of the interstellar creation Assault Gouda crack. Suddenly, Lingshur heard a slight crisp sound. Sincerity. Lingshur's eyes flashed as he shouted. Yeah, I heard it too. Makoto Ito responded. The key to everything was at this moment. Oh, prepare to die. Kai. Lingshur let out a battle cry. The interstellar creation Assault Gouda kept his right fist at his waist, stretched out his left hand, opened it, and went straight for Black's head. Then, when Makoto Ito increased the power of the thrusters until it broke through the limit, the right fist of the interstellar creation Assault Gouda that was kept at his waist struck out. Bang! A loud explosion was heard. Then the longbow in Black's hand that had blocked the interstellar creation Assault Gouda's iron fist countless times and had repeatedly defeated Makoto Ito and Lingshur's battle tactics was broken just like that. Almost at the same time, a burst of exclamation was heard from the audience. Kai, among them, accompanied by Aslan, Euphemia, who was sitting in the audience, cried out worriedly. Miss Euphemia, don't worry. Kai won't lose. You have to believe in him. Aslan, who was sitting next to her, comforted Euphemia. Euphemia heard this and nodded slowly. Participating in the battle was one thing, and sitting in the audience was another. Euphemia had never felt such a sense of worry as she did now. Under her worried gaze, Black, who had been suppressing the interstellar creation Assault Gouda with the advantage of the longbow, made a new move. The longbow was broken under RG's iron fist. However, Ray Minkai did not panic. On the contrary, his expression became calmer. The moment the broken longbow began to fly into the void, Black's right hand opened and closed. In the blink of an eye, he threw away the remains of the longbow in his hand and clenched his fist again. He valiantly punched the iron fist of the interstellar creation Assault Gouda. Bang. Another loud sound rang out. The impact from the collision of the two fists forced Black and Galactic Assault Gundam to retract their fists. However, almost at the same time, they threw out another punch at each other, aiming straight for each other's vitals. Bang! Without a doubt, this was another collision of fists. Hey, I didn't expect it to be so exciting. Looks like you don't only know how to shoot arrows. Kai! Lingshur laughed and said with a provocative tone. Ray Minkai did not answer. Instead, he responded to Lingshur's provocation with action. A black shadow suddenly burst out from under Black's body and went straight to the waist of the interstellar creation Assault. Gao de Lingshire's eyes flashed. The interstellar creation Assault, Gao de, immediately lifted his leg and kicked out, blocking the path of the black shadow. Bang! The black shadow stopped. It was Black's right leg. In the next second, Black and a galactic assault Gundam moved at the same time. They charged toward the asteroid that was floating right above their heads and had a relatively large surface area. Chapter 180. On the huge gravel that was about 100 meters long and less than 100 meters wide, Black Steel Pulla and Interstellar Assault, Gao, stood facing each other. They each took up their stances and stared at each other's every move. Since the start of the battle, all of Interstellar Assault Gao Da's weapons had been destroyed in the previous battle. Even his own outer armor was damaged and looked like it was about to break. Hey, Kai, your Black doesn't have a longbow anymore. I'm very sorry. I want you to fight with me in a duel. Even though Interstellar Assault Gao was already in such a state, Lingshire's words were still as tough as ever. Lingshire, it's been so long. Haven't you learned to be cautious of any opponent? Raymond Kai's reaction was much calmer. He did not waver just because Black's only long-range weapon, the longbow, was shattered by Interstellar Assault Gao Da's punch. Cautious? I'm sorry. As long as I see your face, I'm very unhappy. So, now we can finally have a good showdown. Ling Si shouted. The Galactic Assault Gundam immediately leaped up from the ground and charged towards Black like an arrow in the midst of the huge flames spewed out from its thrusters. Take my RG Iron Fist. Oomph. A shout, a cold snort. This became the opening statement of the battle between Black and Interstellar's Assault Gundam. Bang! Bang! This was a meaningless technique. It was also a hand-to-hand combat that was unreasonable. Whether it was Lingshire or Ray Minkai, whether it was Interstellar Assault Gouda or Black, they, at this moment, had given up all tactics and strategies. The rest was to use their own iron fists to smash the opponent's face and body. At this moment, the iron fists of both sides collided in midair, making a series of loud and clear sounds. In the sound of the iron fists colliding, there were even bursts of sparks between the iron fists. At first glance, it was quite terrifying. Bang! Bang! Black exerted strength from his waist and swung his fist at full speed, aiming straight for Gao Da's head. It looked like he wanted to smash Interstellar Gao Da's head into pieces in the blink of an eye. In the next second, Gao Da's right fist punched out from below, blocking Black's straight punch that was aimed at his head with an uppercut. Then, almost at the same time, Gao Da, the interstellar creation, lifted his left leg and swept it towards Black's feet. Once the ferocious kick landed, Black would lose its balance in the blink of an eye. At that time, the interstellar creation Assault Gouda, who had seized the opportunity, would definitely have the power to kill Black. However, Ray Minkai would never allow such a thing to happen, nor would he make such a low-level mistake and allow Lingshire to succeed. Black was the one who made the first move. Similarly, he used a left kick to forcefully block the kick that was sweeping towards his feet. Boom! When the 2 feet collided with each other with a huge force, the result of the previous kick was repeated. Black, Gouda, the interstellar creation, was once again forced back by the impact. He took a few steps back before he was able to stabilize himself. Chung, our strength seems to be inferior to his. Lingshire's eyes flashed as he said, unwillingly, I got it. I'm doing it now. Lingshire, hold on for a little longer. Makoto Ito's eyes were glued to the screen. His hands were moving continuously. His concentration was so high that he could not even pay attention to the intense battle between Lingshire and Ray Minkai. Am I the only one facing this freak for the time being? Lingshire smiled bitterly. Then, his eyes were filled with determination. So what? I swear in the name of my race, I will never lose. Gouda, the interstellar creation moved again. However, this time, Lingshire did not rush up to Black to engage in close-range combat. Instead, he adopted a strategy of attacking and then leaving. While he was moving back and forth around Black at high speed, he would occasionally use the Vulcan cannon on his head to restrict Black's movements. Under Lingshire's control, the interstellar creation, the Vulcan cannon on his head was constantly spitting out flames. In a short period of time, the waves of cannonballs formed an airtight barrage in front of Ray Ming-Kai and Black, almost completely sealing off Black's movements. Barrage? Not bad at all. But, Lingshire, you're underestimating Black. Ray Ming-Kai's lips curled up slightly. Black immediately raised both of his arms, paused his movement, and stomped on the ground. Then, he crossed his arms in front of him. While protecting his head firmly, Black charged forward, rushing towards the interstellar creation, the Gauda. The speed was so fast that Lingshire and Makoto Ito were both shocked. So fast. Lingshire quick to fend. Makoto Ito looked at Black in front of him and knew that it was too late to do anything. He could only shout at Lingshire, who was standing in front of him. Lingshire, however, did not respond, because he knew that instead of wasting time in this conversation, he would just waste time. It was better to fight with all his might. The interstellar creation, the took a step forward and lowered his waist, assuming a fighting stance. He stared at Black, who was charging towards him, and at Black's right fist, which was at his waist. The next second might be the key to victory or defeat. Whoosh, whoosh. At the moment when Black and Gauda, the interstellar creation, the steel pulla combat system simulated a sound, which made the audience nervous. Bang! It was still the same loud sound. The iron fist between Black and Gauda, the interstellar creation, the Gauda, collided once again without any fancy moves. This time, Lingshire did not say anything, nor did he care about what tactics Ray Ming-Kai would use to deal with him, to deal with the interstellar creation, the Gauda's attack. All he knew was that he had to blacken Lei Ming-Kai's face. He had to completely destroy that blackened face of Lei Ming-Kai's, that he wanted nothing more than to punch it. In an instant, Gauda, the interstellar creation, the Gauda, had already swung his fists 10 times, dozens of times, or even hundreds of times in a row. However, they were all blocked by Black's fists, one by one. At this moment, the finals that was displayed in front of all the audience who loved steel pulla combat around the world was actually a hand-to-hand combat after a battle. Yes, this was the model of the steel pulla, which had many gorgeous long-range weapons in Gauda's works in the past. At this time, it was like the gladiators in the gladiator arena in ancient Rome, using their most reliable, hardest, and most powerful weapon to fight, their fists. Even if the prototype of both were products from a high-end sci-fi setting. Bang! Suddenly, when Gauda, the interstellar creation, threw a simple and unadorned right straight punch, Black, who was trying to block his attack, also threw his right fist. Unexpectedly, it happened. Crack! When the two fists collided, Black's right fist actually made a crisp sound. And this sound was not unfamiliar to both sides of the battle, and even the audience. It's broken! Kawaguchi Minami, who was watching the match silently with his hands crossed in front of his chest, almost couldn't help but take off his large sunglasses so that he could see what was going to happen next. Crack! Bang! Another crisp sound was heard. At the same time, under Gauda's right straight punch, Black, who had been evenly matched with interstellar creation, actually took a few steps back and staggered away from the attack range of Gauda. And Black's right hand fell limply after that. Pieces of black fragments kept peeling off from the falling right hand, slowly falling on the large gravel under his feet. Lingshire, Black's right hand seems to have been destroyed. Makoto Ito saw and immediately shouted in surprise. Good. Keep it up. In fact, even without Makoto Ito's reminder, Lingshire had already felt it during the battle just now. Black's attack had become a little weak. Although at the beginning, Lingshire was still a little cautious, but at this moment, when he saw Black's right arm falling limply beside his body and peeling off fragments, Lingshire's eyes lit up. The tongue of fire burst out. Interstellar creation. Gauda's figure suddenly disappeared from a spot, while pulling out a series of afterimages. He raised his fist again and punched towards Black's hair. Kai, take this. Bang. Interstellar creation. Gao Da's right straight punch was blocked again. However, Lingshur was not surprised at all, because the one who blocked interstellar creation, Gao Da's right straight punch, was Black's left hand. Right arm, it seems like it's really destroyed. Lingshur's gaze changed. Interstellar creation, Gao Da's left hand clenched into a fist and swung out with a left hook, rushing towards Black's chest like lightning. However, at the moment when it was about to hit, Black dodged this fatal attack. Boom! Suddenly, Black, who should have dodged interstellar creation, Gao Da's left hook, was suddenly sent flying by a strong force, until a large part of the sharp rocks that protruded from the ground broke off, then slowly came to a stop. As the dust flew, the audience also saw interstellar creation, Gao Da's right leg slowly retracting from the close-up. It turned out that when Black dodged interstellar creation, Gao Da's left hook, Lingshur took the opportunity to launch interstellar creation, Gao Da's right whip kick, and sent Black flying. Lingshur, well done. Successful in one hit. Looking at Black in the rolling dust, Makoto Ito, who had been silent for a long time, could not help but give a thumbs up. Hey, it's not easy to trick this bastard guy. Lingshur smiled proudly, but soon the expression on his face returned to being cautious again. He knew that Black, and even Ray Minkai, would not be defeated so easily by interstellar creation, Gout Da Buzz. In the dust, a flash of light quietly rose. Whether it was Makoto Ito, Lingshur, or the audience, including Kawaguchi famers, when they saw this quietly rising flash of light, they could not help but stand up and stare intently at the big screen. It's coming. Euphemia, on the other hand, was pleasantly surprised and secretly exclaimed. She knew that Lei Minkai had finally revealed the trump card that had been hidden for a long time. Not good. Lingshur, go and stop Guy. With a flash of light, Makoto Ito seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly shouted. What? Lingshur was stunned, but he immediately took action. However, just as the Galactic Assault Gundam was about to charge at Black's location, a black shadow suddenly rushed out from the asteroid belt without any warning. In the blink of an eye, the black shadow had arrived right in front of the Galactic Assault Gundam. That is, dodge it, Lingshur. Tis. The moment Makoto Ito's warning sounded, Lingshur instinctively moved, and with the fastest speed, he let interstellar creation, Gauda raise both of his arms, raised both of his legs, and firmly protected his head, chest, and abdomen. Boom! A familiar scene occurred once again. However, this time, interstellar creation, Gauda, no longer had the protection of a buffer shield, and could only rely on its own cracked and broken outer armor to withstand the sudden impact. In the blink of an eye, the fireball that swallowed interstellar creation, Gauda, distorted, and with bursts of sparks and smoke, interstellar creation, Gauda once again appeared on the big screen. Lingshur, be careful. Although the explosion just now did not damage interstellar creation, Gauda's RG skeleton, but its outer armor can no longer hold on. Hearing Makoto Ito's worried tone, Lingshur did not care and smiled. Is it Black's strange flying arrows? I didn't expect Guy to have the last one. Yes, we missed the best opportunity. Makoto Ito nodded and secretly sighed. As his gaze once again focused on the billowing smoke, a figure, like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, gradually revealed its most gorgeous and most fatal posture in front of them, and even the audience. In the billowing smoke, Black, who once exuded a strange aura, which made Kawaguchi Nomi and other strong players unable to see through its true origin, slowly stood up. As Black stood up, pieces of black shards that were vaguely flowing with streams of red light kept peeling off from Black's body. The arms were the same, the feet were the same, the body was the same. As these black pieces with flowing light continued to peel off, the truth hidden in the black, strange, and mysterious body was also revealed. Clang! Like a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, The first thing that appeared in front of everyone was the 6 platinum steel wings that rushed out from Black's back. The moment they rushed out of the black armor's obstruction, they wantonly declared their existence. The moment they were fully extended, a golden halo was summoned from the void, leading the brand-new body that was sleeping under the black armor to wake up. Crack, crack, cracks, sounds became the main theme of the moment. The moment the main theme reached its peak, the strange and mysterious black armor shattered. A brand-new body with flowing white light appeared. That's God Gouda. Among the spectators, a young man wearing a red coat and a martial artist's uniform stood up abruptly. No, it's not God Gouda. It should be that young man who modified it himself. The original. The woman sitting next to the young man pondered for a while. The original is Pirate Gouda and Tiger Leopard Cavalry, and God Gouda. Yazaka Jinsei shouted. I didn't expect it to come to this step. Chung Lingshi, this is the ultimate form of my steel pulla, God Pirate. Chapter 181. Plumes of smoke and dust drifted from the black wreckage that flashed with red light from time to time, drifting towards the void outside the large gravel. At the beginning of the plumes of smoke and dust, above the peeling black wreckage, a white steel pulla with a halo on its back slowly straightened its body, allowing Makoto Ito and Lingshi to clearly see its appearance. The white steel pulla's mask suddenly opened, revealing a face that was somewhat similar to a human's. At the same time, at the joints of the white steel pulla, the edges of its body also glowed with a faint golden light. Sorry, Chung Lingshi. Before we start, I should probably apologize. Makoto Ito's vision was very accurate. The moment the white steel pulla appeared, he saw what kind of power was about to erupt from the white steel pulla. However, before he could remind Lingshi, he was interrupted by Rei Ming-Kai's sudden apology. What? Kai, what are you up to this time? Although Makoto Ito's reminder was interrupted by Rei Ming-Kai, Lingshi, who had always been at odds with Rei Ming-Kai, was keenly aware that Rei Ming-Kai seemed to be up to something. Up to something? Rei Ming-Kai was stunned for a moment, then he smiled. Lingshi Chung, that's right. I'm up to something. From the beginning of the finals, I've been up to something. It's all for the sake of fulfilling the commission of an irresponsible father. As soon as Rei Ming-Kai's words came out, a certain man sitting in the audience immediately felt that something was wrong. Even his wife, who was sitting next to him, looked at him suspiciously. This man had not returned home for a long time, leaving the entire shop to her and her son to manage. Lin-chan, no, that's not what you mean. No, it's not like that. EZ was stunned. He subconsciously wanted to explain something, but no matter how his mouth moved, he was unable to say anything. At this moment, a burst of laughter suddenly came from behind them. Ha ha! Who would have thought that the famous EZ would have such a day? Lady Boss, there was a reason why he did this. Please don't blame him. After laughing a few times at EZ, the man defended him. Then, the person sat down on EZ's body. As he watched the changes on the field, his face darkened. Although your idea is correct, the person you asked doesn't seem to be the kind of person who would treat the steel pulla as a real battle. General Lars. Although EZ was surprised by Lars's appearance, he still nodded in response to Lars's reply. Yes, it's the inhuman person I've entrusted to you. However, based on the current situation, there might be another outcome. Maybe. At the end of the day, in this Steel Per World tournament, only the British brothers would treat the Steel Per World tournament as a real battle and plan it as a real battle. In addition, even Rei Ming-Kai, a warrior who has been through life and death on the battlefield, is addicted to the steel pulla battle. The corners of Lars's mouth curled up slightly. Let me guess. At the beginning, you must have wanted Rei Ming-Kai to beat up your son Makoto Ito and Lingshi in a cruel way, right? Enduring the cold aura piercing from the side, EZ's mouth twitched as he nodded, reluctantly admitting his plan. Lars secretly glanced at the volcano that was about to erupt sitting next to EZ and muttered, logically speaking, Ray Minkai, who has been through life and death on the battlefield, is indeed the best candidate for this mission. However, you missed something? Missed something? EZ suddenly felt a sharp pain in his waist. While enduring the pain, he struggled to maintain the expression on his face and not let it distort in the sudden pain. Lara revealed an expression of, "I knew it's like this, and I'm used to it." He then pointed at Lei Minkai and said, "What you missed is that Lei Minkai himself is also a fan of temper. So, everything is understood without words." Is it? Yes. Ray Minkai's voice was steady and bright. "It's because of an irresponsible father that you're standing here in the steel pull-a battle with us?" For some reason, Ling Si was infuriated, but he quickly suppressed it and barked out, "That's right, Commander Ling. Kai, I'll only ask you one question. Will this steel pull-a battle continue?" Ling sure. "Wait." Makoto Ito hurriedly shouted and turned around to look at Ray Minkai. "Kai, the irresponsible father you're talking about is..." "Yes, it's your father, EZ. Chung. The reason why I rejected your invitation is because at that time, I had already accepted your father's commission to participate in this steel pull-a battle world competition with the purpose of becoming your opponent in the world competition." Ray Minkai's answer made Makoto Ito stunned and almost speechless. It's actually like this. Kai, you rejected my invitation because of your father's commission. This is a steel pull-a battle that has been arranged." Gradually, Makoto Ito, who began to waver because of Ray Minkai's simple words, slowly fell into a whirlpool of self-doubt. "Chung, why are you in a daze? This guy, this bastard is disrupting your vision." Chung, different from Makoto Ito, Lingshur, who had already noticed Ray Minkai's intentions from the beginning, stared at the white steel pull-a standing on the black wreckage. At this moment, originally, it was only wandering around the joints, but the golden light around the body had already spread inwards. In this short period of time, the white steel pull-a's entire body was almost covered by the golden light. Chung, Lingshur gritted his teeth and suddenly stretched out his hand. After groping around for a while, he grabbed Makoto Ito's shoulder and shook it forcefully. "Chung, what are you thinking?" "This is Kai, that bastard scheme. Even if it's your father's commission, so what? Until now, the steel pull-a battle that we've experienced together, was it all arranged by your father? Chung, quickly open your eyes and look at that steel pull-a. You've been deceived." What? Steel pull-a?" Under Lingshur's shaking, Makoto Ito, who was still a little confused, looked up. In an instant, when Makoto Ito saw the white steel pull-a that was almost enveloped by the golden light, his confusion was immediately swept away. "Kai, you're lying to me." Makoto Ito understood. He understood. Ray Minkai's words just now were a trap for him. Have you realized it? Chung, you're indeed, as your father said, you're still a little too inexperienced. Compared to Lingshur, who discovered my intentions from the beginning, you're not just a little bit worse. Ray Minkai smiled softly, and his right hand slowly pushed the control ball forward. The white steel pull-a, which had been enveloped by the golden light, walked out of the black wreckage and slowly walked towards Interstellar Scout DS. "I'm lying to you, Chung, but this is also a matter. The reason why I'm standing here is because of your father, EZ's request." One step, two steps, as the steel pull-a that had turned into a golden color approached, Ray Minkai's voice kept ringing in the ears of Makoto Ito and Lingshur. "Before the finals, your father, EZ, came to me and asked me to use the cruelest method to let you, his beloved son, Makoto Ito, see the cruelty that a warrior who walked down from the battlefield should bear and experience." "Warrior? Cruel?" Lingshur's eyes narrowed, as if he had already understood the meaning of Ray Minkai's words. Compared to Makoto Ito, who was born and grew up in an era of peace, what Lingshur had to bear and experience was unimaginable for Makoto Ito. "Oh, Lingshur, you really are the Prince of Alien. It's just a simple sentence, and you've already understood what I mean?" Ray Minkai's words made Lingshur suddenly let out a chuckle. "TSK, what's the big deal? I don't care what you say. I only know that now is the finals of the world competition. And my opponent is you, Ray Minkai. The Ling Division's right hand pushed forward, and the Galactic Assault Gundam stepped forward, step by step, towards the opponent. Lingshi, Chung, don't worry about what this bastard said. He's just messing with your vision. Now, what we should do is to use all our strength to win this match. Lingshi's face revealed a rare expression of extreme seriousness, which made Makoto Ito forget about Ray Minkai's words. That's right. What we should do now is to win this match. Lingshi, let's go. That's it. Kai, you bastard. Wait and see. Just as Lingshi and Makoto Ito reached a new level of tacit understanding, Gouda fiercely rushed forward, waving his iron fist at his opponent. Pung! The iron fist of the Galactic Assault Gundam was blocked once again. Looks like I'm really not suited to shooting my mouth off. Amidst Lei Mingkai's self-mockery, Tepera, who was shrouded in golden light, simply raised his hand and received the iron fist of the Galactic Assault Gundam. What? The iron fist of the Galactic Assault Gundam was actually blocked? Lingshi was shocked and immediately controlled Gouda to kick Gouda again, trying to force the opponent away. However, the strange thing was that before the Gundam's whip kick could reach its target, its iron fist was released by its opponent. Lingshi, be careful. I'm afraid this steel pulla has activated super mode. Super mode? Is it that layer of golden light? Lingshi looked warily at the golden steel pulla that didn't move after releasing Gouda's attack. Yes. Makoto Ito nodded. His expression was particularly dignified. The reason why Kai said those words to provoke me was to give this steel pulla time to activate super mode. Speaking of this, Makoto Ito couldn't help but bitterly smile. I'm still too naive. I can't even see through such a simple trap. Lingshi didn't comfort Makoto Ito at this time. All he could do was to continue controlling Gouda to attack the opponent again. Pung, pung, pung. However, no matter how Lingshi controlled Interstellar Creation to attack Gouda, Interstellar Creation's iron fist and whip kick would be easily blocked by the opponent. Even the opponent only used his left hand to block Interstellar Creation's fierce attack on Gouda. Boom. After ending a round of attacks, Interstellar Creation, which subconsciously pulled away from Gouda, stepped on a small piece of gravel and shattered it. As the gravel flew, Lingshi's face became more and more gloomy. So strong, but with such strength, you still have to use the flowery words just now to attack sincerity. Ray Minkai, you really are a bad man. Lingshi shouted, once again controlling Interstellar Creation to attack Gouda, launching a new round of attacks. Strong? Facing Lingshi's words, Ray Minkai gently shook his head. No, in this world, I'm not strong. There are many people stronger than me. It's just that right now, you can't come into contact with the world I'm in. So, what I can do now is to do my best to let you see what the world I've experienced is like. Lingshi, sincerity. This will be the last blow. If you think you can beat me, then take it. Take the strongest attack of Pirate Gouda's God form that I can create right now. Boom! Before he finished speaking, Gouda, who had kicked out a whip kick, was caught by Pirate Gouda, whose entire body was shrouded in golden light, and threw him to the ground with force. Immediately after, Pirate Gouda raised his right hand, clenched his fist, and fiercely hammered down on Gouda, who was thrown to the ground. TSK. Sincerity. Understood. 2, 2, 2, 2. At Lingshi's command, Gouda raised the firing frequency of the Vulcan cannon in his head to the maximum. He frantically fired at Pirate Gouda's right fist. Amidst the flickering flames, he pushed the power of the thruster to the limit. Only then did he escape danger just before Pirate Gouda's golden fist smashed into his body. You sure run fast. Ray Minkai clenched his right fist. Pirate Gouda raised his right fist again. As he raised his right fist, a faintly discernible pattern seemed to appear on the back of his right fist. At the same time, Pirate Gouda's chest armor that had already been erased of the skull opened up, revealing the red steel heart that was firmly protected under the heavy armor. What is that? Linkshire, this is your final attack. We have to do our best. Makoto Ito immediately shouted when he saw Pirate Gao Da's posture. Got it. Final attack? Just what I want. Sincerity. Don't hold back. Let us ruthlessly beat Guy's stinky face flat. Linkshire raised his hand and wiped his nose. His fighting spirit gradually began to burn. Yes, beat Guy's stinky face flat. He actually used Father's words to deceive me. We must teach him a lesson. RG's system to the maximum. Linkshire. Coming. Wong. The Palevsky particles that were originally abundant in interstellar creation Gao Da's body became extremely turbulent with the release of the RG system. Amidst the tumbling of the particles, the already shattered outer armor of the Gundam finally let out an unwilling howl of agony as it was shredded apart by the crystals that grew out from the skeleton, turning into fragments that scattered into the void. Wong, 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 wong. In the void, a ray of blue light surged out. With interstellar creation Gouda as the starting point, it shot straight into the void. This is all the power that Chung interstellar creation Gouda has. Kawaguchi Minami and the others could no longer sit down. They were afraid that once they sat down, they would miss any exciting moment that would appear. Wong, 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 wong. Suddenly, on the opposite side of the blue light, a golden light wantonly declared its existence. Just like the blue light, it shot straight into the void. It's Pirate Gouda. It seems that you are ready to use your last trump card. Chung Linkshire. Rei Minkai's right hand clenched the control ball tightly. On the back of Pirate Gouda's clenched right fist, the faintly discernible emblem became clearer and clearer. Yes, this attack will be our final attack. Take this. Guy. Linkshire and Chung shouted at the same time. Take this. This is our steel pulla. Interstellar RG Iron Fist. Boom! An afterimage suddenly appeared. Interstellar creation Gao Da's figure was like a phantom. He suddenly disappeared from the blue light. In the instant that several afterimages bloomed in the void, he had already rushed in front of Pirate Gao Da. Boom! Interstellar creation Gao Da's Iron Fist had arrived. However, it did not hit Pirate Gao Da. Instead, it was once again caught by Pirate Gao Da's left hand. Is Interstellar RG Iron Fist only at this level? Rei Minkai asked in a deep voice. Linkshire gritted his teeth and suddenly threw out Interstellar creation Gao Da's left straight punch. He went straight for Pirate Gao Da's right hand. He saw through it. Pirate Gao Da's raised right hand must be the last blow. As long as they interrupted it first, then this match would definitely be their victory. However, things would not be so simple. Humph! Rei Minkai snorted coldly and mocked. Your eyes are sharp, but they're not flexible enough. Bang! An afterimage suddenly appeared. Interstellar creation Gao Da's left straight punch, which was heading straight for Pirate Gao Da's right fist, was actually sent flying. Linkshire was shocked at first, then he took a closer look. He found that it was Pirate Gao Da's right leg that kicked. Dang! All of a sudden, interstellar creation Gao Da's body was hit by a strong force, and he flew backward uncontrollably. Linkshire, hold on. Makoto Ito kept debugging the control program, trying to help Linkshire recover control of interstellar creation Gao Da as soon as possible. However, while they were working hard, Rei Minkai's increasingly high-pitched voice suddenly sounded. Listen, Chung Linkshire, this is the final blow of me, Pirate Gao Da's god form. My right hand is as hot as a bright red raging fire. It's shouting for me to seize victory. Stone, break, heaven, shock, fist. Chapter 182. Under Rei Minkai's loud shout, the surging particles quickly converged on Pirate Gao Da's raised right hand. Then, the moment the surging particles completely converged on Pirate Gao Da's clenched right fist, Pirate Gao waved his right fist, and a fist of light completely condensed from Palisky particles instantly flew towards interstellar assault Gao de Lingshi. Its earth-shattering sky-shocking fist. It's very powerful. Be careful. Makoto Ito clenched his teeth and reminded Lingshi with a trembling voice. It could be imagined that Makoto Ito, who was very clear about the power of Pirate Gauda's move, felt immense pressure. Earth-shattering sky-shocking fist. Let me see the power of this seemingly powerful move. RG Iron Fist. Lingshi was slightly surprised, but he wasn't scared like Makoto Ito. Instead, his fighting spirit was even higher. The moment the earth-shattering sky-shocking fist was about to reach Interstellar Assault Gauda, fiercely swung his right fist and collided with it. Boom! The moment the earth-shattering sky-shocking fist and RG Iron Fist collided, the violent Palisky particles exploded with all the energy it contained. A powerful particle storm swept up from between the earth-shattering fist and RG's Iron Fist in an instant, wantonly spreading in all directions, releasing its own energy towards the void above his head. Pong! Kacha! Under the crazy devastation of the particle storm, the large rock that Pirate Gauda and Interstellar Assault Gauda were standing on was suddenly caught in a storm that was enough to tear it apart. Broken rock, cracks, and the gas hidden deep inside the broken rock was also continuously ejected from the cracks, and unscrupulously increased the speed of the broken rock's disintegration by 3 times. Boom! An explosion suddenly erupted above the broken rock. It was another smaller piece of gravel. It turned out that under the destruction of the particle storm caused by the collision between the earth-shattering fist and RG's Iron Fist, the small stones and wreckage floating around were all drawn into the particle storm. They rolled around involuntarily and were ravaged by the particle storm without any resistance. The explosion was not the end of the debris that was swept into the particle storm. Instead, it was the beginning of a tragic fate. Boom! 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 Bursts of explosions were like hundreds of flowers blooming above Pirate Gauda and Interstellar Invader Gauda's heads. Under this beautiful backdrop of 100 flowers in full bloom, the large boulder that was used as a foothold by the Pirate Gauda and Gauda also entered the final phase of disintegration after a strong tremor. Rumble. With the roar of the explosion louder than 100 flowers in full bloom, the large boulder under the Pirate Gauda and Interstellar Invader Gauda's feet turned into a beautiful peony at this moment, blooming its final brilliance. At this moment, sand and stones flew everywhere, and smoke and dust billowed. As the cause of all this, the Pirate Gauda and Gauda were also submerged in the sandstorm caused by the explosion. At this moment, the entire screen was left with the continuous explosion, sand, stones, and dust flying into the depths of the void. There was no trace of the Pirate Gauda and Interstellar Invader Gauda earth-shattering fist. It's the real earth-shattering fist. In the audience, the man in the red cloak looked at the big screen in surprise. The scene of the Pirate Gauda releasing the earth-shattering fist kept repeating in his mind. Li-in, can these steel pulla models made of plastic really perform the earth-shattering fist? Surprised, the man looked back at the woman sitting next to him. Isn't the truth in front of you? Doman, Master told you a long time ago about the freedom of the steel pulla battle. It's just that you never took it to heart. The woman nodded slightly, and there was a trace of helplessness on her face. Is that so? The man was taken aback, and seemed to remember that there was indeed such a thing, and sat down again. Although he was no longer surprised, his interest had been piqued. Maybe when I teach Shun Mu and the others, I can use the steel pulla appropriately in battle. Who knows, maybe this will have a good effect. However, thoughts were just thoughts. Right now, the most important thing was the finals. It's out. Following the woman's soft cry, the gravel and sand that occupied the big screen suddenly rolled. Boom! In the depths, there was a sudden flash of light. Boom! Before that flash of light disappeared, another flash of light suddenly appeared in another direction. Boom! Boom! In the blink of an eye, bursts of flashes constantly appeared, and during this period, the energy that erupted from its body blew away the gravel and sand that occupied the big screen, revealing the battle that was buried by the gravel and sand. Bang! Bang! One golden and one blue. Two figures broke through the encirclement of the gravel and sand and rushed into the void again, standing opposite each other. At this moment, Pirate Gauda's body that was shrouded in golden light was still dazzling. Although the blue radiance on the Galactic Assault Gundam's body was slightly weaker, the crystals that had condensed on its skeleton were 30% more than the rest. Cluck! 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 The Galactic Assault Gundam clenched its fist tightly, and the force it exerted was so great that a few cracks appeared on the crystal that had formed on its wrist. Linkshire, interstellar creation Gauda, has now lost the protection of his outer armor. Other than the RG skeleton, there are only those crystals left. The light in Makoto Ito's eyes became more and more blazing, and he was not scared by interstellar creation Gauda's current situation at all. Does this mean that the next attack will be our final attack? A carefree smile appeared on Lingshire's face, and his hands gripped the control ball tightly. Kai's last attack did not defeat us. Then, the next step is our counterattack. Yes, the next step is our counterattack. Lingshire and Makoto Ito looked at each other and smiled, then shouted in unison, "Go! Our steel pulla, interstellar creation steel pulla, interstellar creation Gauda. Let Kai see our steel pulla's soul." With a flash of blue light, interstellar creation Gauda's figure flashed, and it already rushed out more than half the distance, kicking out a flying kick towards Pirate Gauda. Bang! It was blocked. Interstellar creation Gauda's flying kick was blocked by Pirate Gauda in the same way. But in the midst of this collision, the debris floating around the Pirate Gundam and the Galactic Assault Gundam also followed the same fate as the predecessor who died in the collision earlier. Boom! Boom! Pirate Gauda, interstellar creation Gauda. Between the two's fists and kicks, the debris floating around them, or from afar, were constantly sacrificed under the frenzied attacks of both sides. Boom! In the instant a section of Msai's wreckage was blasted apart by the duo's attacks, the Gundam Pirate and Gundam Galactic Assault abruptly separated from each other. They each landed on two pieces of warship wreckage that had luckily survived their attacks. Both sides did not speak, nor did they make any sound. They only silently and attentively controlled their steel pulla model, only using their blazing eyes to stare at their opponent. In the next moment, the moment Msai's wreckage completely disintegrated, Pirate Gauda and interstellar creation Gauda's figures flashed and disappeared from the spot. In the last flame left in this world by Msai, Pirate Gauda and interstellar creation Gauda fought again. But this time, it was their final attack. The emblem on the back of Pirate Gauda's right hand was incomparably bright, and every line was abnormally clear. The red heart on his chest burst out with the most gorgeous and dazzling red light since the start of the battle. The number of crystals condensed on the skeleton of the Galactic Assault Gundam increased. At first glance, it looked as if it was covered in a layer of ferocious crystal armor. Within the crisscrossing crystals, strands of blue light seemed to have a life of their own as they converged neatly on the right fist of the Galactic Assault Gundam. Kai, this is our final attack. Interstellar creation RG Iron Fist. Take this. Lingshire and Makoto Ito shouted loudly. Amidst their shouts, interstellar creation Gauda's right fist was like a slowly rising blue sun, shining with a bright and dazzling light. It, at this moment, launched the most direct and violent attack on Pirate Gauda as usual, and cheered for its attack, as well as the rubble and debris that was triggered by interstellar creation Gauda's fist force on the way. In the blink of an eye, interstellar creation Gauda's side had gathered countless rubble and debris, launching a final attack on Pirate Gauda. This attack, his momentum was vast and extremely shocking. Facing this attack, Raymond Kai's expression did not change, and his heart did not skip a beat. His hands were still firmly controlling the control ball, and he poured all his spirit into Pirate Gouda. Thus he cried, Sek Dongfang Bubi. Finally, profound meaning, earth-shattering sky, shocking fist. Amidst Lei Mingkai's loud yell, Pirate Gundam's arms wrapped around his chest and pushed forward with all his strength in that instant. A fist of light that was not inferior to Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist suddenly blasted out, directly landing on Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist that Gouda had thrown out. At this moment, the whole world seemed to have quieted down. Whether it was the two sides of the battle or the audience, their intentions seemed to have been attracted by the final blow of this battle, the final blow that was infused with all the spirit of Rei Minkai, Makoto Ito, and Lingshi. Lingshi and Makoto Ito used all their strength to shout the names of their opponents. Lingshi-chung, come on. Let me see your steel Pula soul. Burn. For our steel Pula soul, burn completely. Pirate Gouda. Boom. Earth-shattering sky-shocking fist. Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist. They collided with each other once again. The sun rose. However, when the audience's vision was captured by the sun, the battle was not completely over. Whether it was Rei Minkai, Lingshi, or Makoto Ito, their battle was still going on. In a violent collision of particles, Interstellar Creation Gouda, who had been fighting for a period of time, had reached its limit. The crystals on its body and its skeleton were constantly being torn apart by new cracks in the collision between the earth-shattering fist and Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist. Lingshi, Interstellar Creation Gouda, can still hold on for about a minute. Makoto Ito used all the methods he could think of, but he was unable to save Interstellar Creation Gouda from the crisis. Understood. 1 minute is enough. Lingshi's gaze was firm and burning. Interstellar Creation Gouda, lend me your last strength. Under Ling Si's heartfelt roar, the eyes of the Galactic Creation Gundam instantly lit up. The shattered rocks and debris that were propelled by his fists suddenly sped up, rushing towards the Pirate Gundam like a violent storm, rushing towards the earth-shattering sky-shocking fist that he had just unleashed. Hey, is it the last fight? Very good. As soon as Rei Minkai saw this last attack, he had already guessed Lingshi's plan. But Rei Minkai controlled Pirate Gouda to withdraw his right fist. He actually allowed the debris that filled the sky to attack him under the influence of Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist. Rei Minkai gave up? No, he didn't give up. Pirate Gouda raised his left hand to block his chest and retracted his right fist to his waist. Rei Minkai shouted in a deep voice, explosive heat, earth-shattering, God finger. Suddenly, a gigantic palm of light flew out from the Pirate Gundam's right palm as he struck out from his waist. With a tyrannical force, it dispersed the debris caused by the Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist, blocking the Interstellar Creation RG Iron Fist. No, we haven't lost yet. Iron Fist's attack was blocked. Lingshi and Makoto Ito were not surprised, nor were they discouraged. Instead, they were more focused and worked harder to control their steel Pula. Interstellar Creation Assault Gouda continued to attack. Rumble, the gravel was blown away. The wreckage was blown up. In the entire void, only Pirate Gouda and Interstellar Creation Assault Gouda were left. At this moment, both of them had used up all their strength and all the methods they could think of in order to completely defeat their opponent. Bang! Suddenly, a series of crisp sounds suddenly rang out from Interstellar Creation Assault Gouda, who was fighting against the palm of light. It shattered. It was the crystal condensed from RG's skeleton that had shattered. The speed of the collapse was getting faster and faster. It was so fast that Lingshi and Makoto Ito were almost unable to react. By the time they reacted, the crystal covering Interstellar Creation Assault Gouda's skeleton had already shattered, leaving only RG's skeleton that was facing the still powerful palm of light alone. Chance! Ray Minkai's eyes flashed as he suddenly exerted his strength. Pirate Gao Da's palm of light broke through the obstruction of interstellar creation RG's iron fist in one fell swoop and grabbed interstellar creation assault Gao Da by the waist. No, Lingshi, Chung, we haven't lost yet. Lingshi gritted his teeth and used all his strength to control the remaining interstellar creation assault Gao to break free from the palm of light. However, no matter how hard Lingshi tried, no matter how hard he struggled, the palm of light remained motionless. It did not take interstellar creation assault Gao Da's struggle seriously at all. Damn it, Chung, we haven't lost yet. Yes, we haven't lost yet. Makoto Ito's hands quickly tapped on the virtual keyboard. Then, he gritted his teeth and pressed the red button with force. Wong, a trembling sound that made Ray Minkai feel uneasy rang out. Interstellar creation assault Gao Da, who was caught by the palm of light, flew out of the palm of light like a loach. Ray Minkai took a closer look and realized that the reason why interstellar creation assault Gao Da was able to break free from the palm of light was because Makoto Ito had activated the separation program. Kai, take this. Interstellar creation assault Gao Da, who had lost both his legs, once again rushed towards Pirate Gao Da under the control of Lingshi, who was determined to fight to the death. The battle is over. Lingshi, although Pirate Gao Da's right hand did not loosen, he still had his left hand. Ray Minkai raised his head and looked at interstellar creation assault Gao Da, who was charging from above, and coldly shouted, "Double flash palm." Wong. In an instant, Pirate Gao Da's left hand lit up with a bright purplish-red color. Immediately after, he raised his left hand and blocked interstellar creation assault Gao Da's iron fist. What? Not good. Lingshi dodge. Too late. Lingshi Chung. Pirate Gao Da's left hand pulled, and interstellar creation assault Gao Da, who only had half of his body left, was pulled down. Clang. Interstellar creation assault Gao Da's head shattered. The pirate Gundam raised its left knee and smashed it with a knee strike, shattering it in an instant. Then, Pirate Gao Da's right hand retracted and pressed down, hitting interstellar creation assault Gao Da's chest. Boom! The battle is over. The winner is Ray Minkai. Everyone, this year's Steel Pulla battle. The world champion is Ray Minkai and Euphemia Libertania from the Celestial Empire region. Wow! The audience burst into thunderous applause. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Pirate Gao Da's palm that hit interstellar creation assault Gao Da's chest for a quarter of an hour. It's over. The old man slowly exhaled and then smiled. I didn't expect the Steel Pulla battle to bring me such a big surprise. As he spoke, the old man pondered and said, Sect, Invincible East, Earth-Shattering Sky, Shocking Fist? I don't remember having such a disciple. Himimi took a few sips of water and smiled as he stabilized his emotions. This is the Steel Pulla world. Anything is possible. As long as he has the heart to complete his beloved Steel Pulla, he may be able to learn Earth-Shattering Sky, Shocking Fist without a teacher. Of course, if he leaves this world and doesn't learn the secret of Invincible East, he won't be able to use it. Grandpa, you're right. If there's a chance, maybe I'd like to meet this young man. But not now. The old man laughed and then turned to leave. The finals are over. I should go to the Guyana Plateau. Mimi, little Shue, remember to visit Grandpa when you have time. Yes. The two sisters responded in unison. Chapter 183. The golden trophy, symbolizing the champion, was personally handed to Ray Minkai and Euphemia by the president of Shinxia. Congratulations to the two of you. Congratulations on winning the championship of this Steel Pulla World competition. Your battle was very exciting. After completing the championship award ceremony, the president of Shinxia, who was about to turn around and leave, was taken aback by Ray Minkai's seemingly unintentional words. It seems that the Palevsky particles shouldn't riot. As soon as he heard this sentence, The president's face twitched again and again. After several efforts, the president reluctantly maintained a kind smile and walked down the stage, leaving the space for other guests. "President, you did a good job." Secretary Baker greeted him and said with a smile. The president of Shinxia seemed to have escaped from a disaster. He took the handkerchief from Baker's hand, wiped his sweat, and carefully looked around. "Baker, where are the president and her sister now?" Baker didn't speak. He just stretched out his finger and pointed to the ground. Seeing Baker's action, the president of Shinxia sighed helplessly. Why do they have to do something at this critical time? Obviously, most of the people from the administration will withdraw after the end of this year's Copper World competition. The president of Shinxia sighed secretly. Now, in the depths of the conference venue that ushered in the final results of the Steel Polo World competition, there was an accident that almost ruined the final. "Baker, let's go. I hope the president and her sister will hold back. After all, it's not easy for us brothers to live in this world." The president of Shinxia's side didn't change the accident that happened deep underground. "Let's stop here." See, deep underground in the venue. In front of a device where the giant crystal condensed from Palisky particles was placed, two girls were solemnly looking at a group of mysterious people in black coats and sunglasses standing in front of the device. At first glance, one could tell that they were not good people. "Hey, why? I didn't expect that the mysterious president would appear in front of us alone." The mysterious man, standing in front of the man in black, smiled. "But it's good. Thanks to your care during this time, we have the time to travel around the world." "Oh? In that case, our actions have helped you achieve your goals." Of the two girls, the slightly older girl stepped forward and looked at the group of mysterious people with burning eyes. As for her, it was after the finals that she realized something was amiss. Together with her sister, Xiao Shuer, she went to the basement of the venue, where the giant Palisky particle was placed. As a result, the situation was just as she had noticed. This group of black-clothed men, who called themselves C and had been constantly trying to investigate the agency during this period of time, were trying to tamper with the crystal condensed by the giant Palisky particles. "Little Shuer, get ready." Himimi took a step forward and stood in front of Little Snow. This action, which seemed to be protecting his sister, made the group of men in black burst into laughter. "What? The chairman of PPSC is scared." Himimi only smiled calmly in the face of this group of black-clothed men who thought they had the situation under control. "That's hard to say." Buzz. The next moment, a silver-white light bloomed behind the group of black-clothed men like flowers. In an instant, these silver-white lights converged into an octagonal mirror in the void and surrounded the group of black-clothed men from all directions. This is... What the hell is this? The appearance of the silver-white octagonal mirror made the black-clothed men panic. They had no idea why the octagonal mirror appeared, and they didn't know how to explain everything in front of them. Humans were ignorant. Most humans panic when they encounter something they don't know. Among these black-clothed men, except for the one who shouted, the rest of the black-clothed men subconsciously moved closer to their teammates, trying to find a sense of security. "TSK, what kind of trick is this?" The black-clothed man, who was obviously the leader, gritted his teeth, pulled out a pistol from his arms, and pointed it at Himimi. "That's it, Chairman." Bang! All of a sudden, before the leader could pull the trigger, the pistol in his hand was knocked away by a strong force until it hit an octagonal mirror and fell to the ground. "That's it. This sentence should be said by me, Boss C." Himimi didn't even look at the pistol that was knocked away, but glanced at the arrow-shaped hook that was slowly retracting into one of the octagonal mirrors above. "I think you must be very interested in these mirrors. See, just like the existence of the authority." Himimi's words stunned the black-clothed man, and then he exclaimed, "Authority? You're from the authority?" Then he suddenly realized. No wonder. I was wondering why such a greedy brother would give half of PPSE's empire to a little girl. So, the authority has always been standing behind PPSE. Brother? Is he really the president? Himimi raised her eyebrows. and didn't care too much about the leader's words. She casually snapped her fingers and said somewhat lazily, "Little Snow, I'll leave these people to you. Let them see the power of the Hedron shield from a top civilization. Don't kill them. After all, we still have to hand them over to Uncle Cruz." "Understood." Little Snow, who had been standing behind Mimi, nodded silently. As the golden light in her eyes became brighter, a larger octagonal mirror suddenly appeared under the black-clothed men's feet. Then, the black-clothed men lost their footing, and they fell into the mirror's internal space with a miserable cry. "Okay, Sister Mimi, before they see Uncle Cruz, they will be punished accordingly." Mimi nodded, then turned around and hugged Little Snow. "Little Snow, no matter when I see your Hedron shield, I'll always think it's very beautiful. After all, it was passed down to me by my mother. I was born with it." Little Snow nodded proudly. Ray Minkai, who was holding the championship trophy, didn't know that the Palevsky particle riot that was supposed to happen according to the script of fate had ended with the intervention of the two sisters. It really didn't happen. Even when Lei Minkai was escorted out of the venue by the crowd, he still couldn't help but look back at the venue. "Kai, what are you looking at?" Euphemia, who was standing beside Ray Minkai, was surrounded by many spectators. She took a few photos with Ray Minkai and pulled Ray Minkai strangely. "Oh no, I just remembered something." "It's nothing." Ray Minkai shook his head and decided to put the Palevsky particle riot to the back of his mind. Anyway, his appearance had already made the champion of the world tournament fall into his hands. Whether the Palevsky particle riot would happen or not was no longer important. Moreover, Lingshur should be able to stay in this world for a long time. He believed that after the award ceremony, Makoto Ito, who was pulled in by EZ for special training, would have a period of friendly training. "Let's go back." UFFI. Putting away all his thoughts, Ray Minkai chuckled and held Euphemia's little hand. A day later, under the increasingly skilled Aslan's escort, Ray Minkai and Euphemia, of course, and the white cat Zero, who could only rely on instinct for the time being, returned to their original residence. As soon as he entered the door, the tragic Aslan was once again surrounded by Harrow. Looking at these Harrow jumping around in front of him, whose appearance was almost exactly the same as the Harrow he made, Aslan couldn't help but reveal a bitter smile. "It seems that Harrow likes you very much, Aslan." Euphemia, who was holding State Zero, glanced at the Harrow jumping around Aslan and chuckled softly. "Big, probably. Probably the doctor from the Ministry of Justice added some program to them." Aslan smiled bitterly. "Aslan, don't spread rumors. These Harrow, I didn't add any program to them." At this time, the voice of the Ministry of Justice came out from the house. Then, her figure appeared in front of everyone as the door opened. "Harrow, enter standby mode and use the lowest energy consumption to check today's research progress." "Harrow, understood." "Harrow, understood." Under the orders of Shur Hui from the Ministry of Justice, the Herods that were jumping around Aslan finally stopped. One by one, they lined up and returned to their respective slots, entering standby mode. No matter when I look at them, the Harrow are full of energy. Ray Minkai, who was standing beside Euphemia, looked up at the Ministry of Justice. "Doctor, do you have a mission?" The Ministry of Justice raised her eyebrows, revealing a trace of surprise. "I say, Kai, do you have clairvoyance and clairvoyance? How do you know that I have a mission for you?" Ray Minkai smiled but didn't say a word. However, Euphemia said sweetly, "That's because you don't usually come back here. Moreover, Sinman and Merida have already gone to serve." "Sigh, so that's how it is. I didn't expect your eyes to be so sharp. All right, come in. Aslan, you too. Before talking about the two of them, I have to tell you something. Something about me." Aslan was stunned. He subconsciously connected the dots and wondered if it was about his extravagant spending in the City of Stars a few days ago. After thinking about it, Aslan, who had some idea, followed behind Ray Minkai and Euphemia into the villa. "Just have some black tea. I'm not used to making my own tea." The Ministry of Justice snapped her fingers and let the housekeeping robot serve the black tea to Ray Minkai, Euphemia, and Aslan. Then, she took out a chocolate bar from her pocket and put it in her mouth. First of all, I want to talk about Aslan Sarah. When Aslan heard the main topic, he put down the teacup in his hand and sat up straight to listen. Perhaps you have already thought of something. That's right. The next thing I want to talk about is the agreement you made with Zhao Hong. The Ministry of Justice took the chocolate bar from her mouth and waved it in the air. Originally, we shouldn't interfere too much with the agreement between the two of you. However, due to some situation that happened a few days ago, we felt that it was necessary to inform you and Zhao Hong. Situation? What situation? Aslan's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly asked. Some aberrations suddenly occurred in the hyperspace channel. It caused the hyperspace channel to deviate from the original channel that was supposed to lead to your destination. The Ministry of Justice bit off a piece of the chocolate bar and continued to talk about what she knew. Originally, accidents like the deviation of the hyperspace channel happen from time to time, and we also have corresponding countermeasures. However, this time there were some accidents. Accidents? Aslan frowned and found that the Ministry of Justice's gaze was looking at Ray Minkai. Me? This has nothing to do with me, right? During this period, I've been fighting Steel Pulla in this world. When he saw the Ministry of Justice and Aslan looking at him, Ray Minkai was a little confused. It has nothing to do with you. However, it has something to do with you. After Shi Hui of the Ministry of Justice said a very contradictory sentence, she directly revealed the riddle. It's the hyperspace singularity. Multiple space-time singularities suddenly appeared in the vicinity of the universe that Aslan and Akihiro were heading to, thus forming a layer of space-time membrane with special properties. And this hyperspace membrane is the reason why the hyperspace channel deviated and why we can't repair the hyperspace channel. Hyperspace singularity? Ray Minkai was shocked, and he subconsciously remembered the settings that appeared in the Super Mecha Wars that he was familiar with in his previous life. Yes. Do you remember anything? The Ministry of Justice's Shi Hui nodded her head and asked in return. No, I'm just a little familiar with this term. Ray Minkai shook his head, and he couldn't come to a conclusion himself. After all, the hyperspace singularity that Ray Minkai was familiar with was nothing more than the settings that appeared in the Super Mecha Wars that he was familiar with in his previous life. So what do we need to do? Do we have to wait for the authority to make a move? Compared to Ray Minkai's thinking, Aslan was much more straightforward. He just focused on whether the key to affecting the hyperspace channel could be solved. In fact, the authority has already made a move. It just needs some time. Moreover, among these hyperspace singularities that affect the hyperspace channel, we have roughly determined that a few hyperspace singularities are related to you, Ray Minkai, Euphemia, and the cute white cat State Zero. Does that mean we have to solve it? Ray Minkai and Euphemia looked at each other and exchanged opinions. Yes, but not now. Besides, you still need to go to the authority to activate the badge, right? The Ministry of Justice shook the chocolate bar in her hand and smiled. Then, she looked at Aslan again. Aslan, you don't have to be discouraged. Although your plan was unexpectedly delayed, you have more than enough time to prepare. Listen to me. More preparation, more training. This will make you more confident before you achieve your final goal. As for Akihiro, let him hold his child personally. Aslan pondered for a moment and finally sighed secretly. He understood what Shi Hui of the Ministry of Justice had said. That's the only way. Thank you for informing me. Doctor, Ministry of Justice. As he spoke, Aslan stood up and respectfully thanked Shi Hui of the Ministry of Justice. No, there's no need to thank me. This is what a researcher and a friend should do. The Ministry of Justice waved her hand and took out a chip from her pocket. This is all the data of this hyperspace channel deviation. Take it back and take a look. See how much you can see from it. Due to the confidentiality regulations on my side, this chip is already the limit. Aslan looked at the chip handed over by the Ministry of Justice. After receiving it with both hands, he was about to thank her again, but was unexpectedly stopped by the Ministry of Justice. Don't thank me. This is not my idea. This is what that guy came to me without permission and asked me to do. If you want to thank someone, thank Lei. Aslan was stunned, and then showed a hint of a smile. I know. Then, I'll take my leave first. Dr. Minkai and Miss Euphemia, see you later. Looking at Aslan, who took the chip and left in a hurry, Ray Minkai sighed secretly. I didn't expect Aslan to be such an infatuated person. Okay, Minkai, UFFI, you two go and have a good rest. Tomorrow morning, I just happen to be on the way to the administration headquarters, and I'll take you to activate the badge. Suddenly, the Ministry of Justice seemed to have thought of something. That's right. Minkai, your body is offline. After activating the badge, you can go and receive it. But then again, you're really messing around. According to your method, we can't help you complete it at the moment. So, the body you can receive can only be in its most basic form for the time being. Chapter 184, City of Stars. Under the guidance of Shi Hui, Ray Minkai and Euphemia finally arrived at the headquarters of the SPF, authority located in the central area of the City of Stars. It's so tall. Standing in front of the headquarters, Ray Minkai and Euphemia looked up at the building that was thousands of meters tall. Euphemia exclaimed softly. Although Ray Minkai didn't exclaim like Euphemia did, the headquarters of the Gauda headquarters still surprised Ray Minkai. Surprised? Shi Hui from the Ministry of Justice had an expected smile on her face. While shaking the chocolate bar in her hand, she introduced the headquarters building in front of Ray Minkai and Euphemia. Although this is called the headquarters of the SPF authority, the real face of this building is actually a flagship parked here. Flagship? A space warship? Ray Minkai and Euphemia were stunned. When they looked at each other, they could see the surprise in each other's eyes. However, Ray Minkai quickly recovered. After all, in his memory, it wasn't shocking for the headquarters to turn into something strange. Not to mention, the headquarters in front of them was just a space warship turned into an office building. Doctor, this should be confidential, right? Is it really okay to tell us like this? Ray Minkai thought for a moment and asked. Secret? Shi Hui of the Ministry of Justice tilted her head and smiled. In the beginning, it was indeed a secret. But in the past 10 years, this flagship has set sail from this anchorage at least 3 times. Under these circumstances, these secrets are no longer secrets. If you don't believe me, you can go to the nearby streets and ask about the secrets of the headquarters. See how many versions of the secrets they can give you. When Lei Minkai heard this, he also felt that this was the case. No matter how mysterious the secrets were, after being solved multiple times, they could no longer be considered secrets. Okay, come with me. It's about time. After Shi Hui raised her hand to look at her watch, she took the lead and walked toward the front hall. Ray Minkai and Euphemia followed behind her and walked into the front hall of the headquarters. As soon as they walked in, Ray Minkai and Euphemia saw that in every corner of the front hall that covered an area of hundreds of square meters, there were groups of people standing in groups of 2 or 3. Rather than people. It was better to say that they were aliens with a humanoid appearance. Some of their facial features and limbs were no different from humans, but there was a gem-like crystal of different colors on their forehead and a pair of pointed ears. Some of them had humanoid faces, bodies, and limbs that were covered by scales that shone with 5-colored light. There were also humanoid creatures with a pair of translucent wings on their backs. These winged humanoid creatures attracted Euphemia's attention. Kai, look. So fairies really exist. Euphemia pulled Ray Minkai and whispered in Ray Minkai's ear. Yes, I see it. Or perhaps they aren't the fairies that we know. Ray Minkai nodded in agreement. He had already noticed the group of fairies, and Ray Minkai also noticed a flash of light in the inadvertent gap under the wrist guards worn by the fairies. It seems to be the brilliance of a gem. At this moment, Shi Hui, who had gone to the front desk to report first, returned to Ray Minkai and Euphemia's side. She also noticed the direction where Ray Minkai and Euphemia's eyes were focused. What? Is this the first time you've seen the legendary fairy's original form on Earth? Fairy's original form? Euphemia blinked. Yes. According to our administration's collection of all the dimensional data that we can control, and after a thorough analysis, we learned that no matter which dimensional world the fairies are from, their birth originates from the Yeja clan that you see now. Is that so? Lei Minkai rubbed his chin and asked in return. It's caused by certain reasons? Yes. Yes. As for the reason, you'll know in the future. Now, the most important thing for you is to quickly activate the badge. Oh, that's right. Where are we going to activate it? Come with me. Under the guidance of Shi Hui, Rei Minkai and Euphemia left the front hall and turned into an automatic conveyor belt that led to the depths of the headquarters building. He looked at the holographic projection indicator that indicated the height and kept moving backward. Rei Minkai secretly estimated in his mind. If the 1,000-meter-long building exposed from the ground was included, then adding in the fact that Rei Minkai and the others were now 1,000 meters deep underground, the flagship disguised as the headquarters building was probably about 3,000 meters in length. It's really a behemoth. Rei Minkai turned his head and looked at the height indicator that constantly passed by above his head and secretly exclaimed, "Ding!" The bell that signaled the arrival of the destination rang. At the same time, the conveyor belt that brought Rei Minkai and the others to at least 1,000 meters deep underground also stopped working. We're here. The next thing is up to you. I still have some things to do here, and I need to find a certain masked man who is always scheming. Walking down the conveyor belt, Shi Hui stood in front of a steel gate with the word 3 painted on it and said to Rei Minkai and Euphemia with a slightly apologetic tone, "No, thank you very much for bringing us here, Doctor. Leave the next thing to us. Please don't worry too much about us." Euphemia stepped forward and politely thanked Shi Hui of the Ministry of Justice. "Is that so? It's fine. After all, you're people who have decided to become patrol officers, so you have to go through these things. Then, see you later. Kai, if you still want your body, focus on the next thing." Shi Hui waved her hand, turned around, and returned to the conveyor belt again. But before she left a sentence. "All right, Kai, you have to be careful. The guy responsible for activating the badge is not an easy person to deal with. At least 30% of the previous reserve members were eliminated by him." The two people who had watched the Ministry of Justice Shi Hui leave turned back to look at the steel door marked 3. The steel door slowly opened and welcomed the two of them. "Kai, what kind of person is the doctor talking about?" Looking at the steel gate slowly opening, Euphemia asked subconsciously. Rei Minkai raised his eyebrows, thought for a moment, and shook his head. "I don't know. It's probably similar to the head instructor when I was at the Royal Knight Academy." Royal Knight Academy? Then, Kai is very experienced? Euphemia's eyes flashed with a light as she smiled. Experience? Maybe a little. The head instructor is not an easy person to deal with. Rei Minkai bitterly smiled and took a step forward. "Come, UFFI, let's go. No matter how much you speculate, you can only make a conclusion after seeing it with your own eyes. Isn't that right?" "Uh-huh. Oliphant Tawanga, a new generation pilot from Tawanga. He was also one of the 2 checkpoints that every new inspector of the SPF authority had to pass. Together with his partner, the retired pilot named Coach Wong, they formed the nightmare of every batch of new patrolmen. Only by passing their test, the qualified reserve teammates could successfully activate the badge in their hands and become a new inspector. Of course, even if Oliphant and Coach Wong were pilots, it didn't mean that they had to take part in every test by piloting a mech. This was because the topic of each test was not set by them. They were only responsible for giving the test questions from the higher-ups to the reserve members one by one and implementing them to test the reserve members. In the end, the reserve members who passed the test were allowed to activate the badge. "Coach, is this year's question out?" The Tawangia people with strong physiques were usually at least 2 meters tall. As an elite of the Tawangia people, Oliphant was even 3 meters tall. When his mountain-like body stood in front of Coach Wong, he immediately outshone Coach Wong. who was 8 meters tall. Oh, it's out. Even though the two had been partners for a long time, Coach Wong could not help but look at Oliphant every time he stood next to him. Doesn't this guy know that his height has become an obstacle for the people around him? Coach Wong secretly complained in his heart, then casually handed the personal terminal with the test content to Oliphant. Oliphant, who took the personal terminal and opened it to take a look, shouted in surprise. In an instant, a thunderous shout swept through the entire room. The sound wave almost blew all the documents in the office into the air, making them fall like snowflakes. Looking at the snowflakes flying in the air, Coach Wong could not help but feel a toothache. Does this muscular guy not know how terrifying his lion's roar is? Coach, why is the content of the test this time? Before Oliphant could finish muttering, Coach Wong slapped him to stop his muttering. It's very simple, right? This is the content of the test issued by the higher-ups. Just follow the content of the document. Coach Wong shrugged his shoulders, spread his hands, and said, "Besides, we don't need to personally deal with them. We don't have to personally test those little fellows. Isn't that a very relaxing and pleasant thing? Although that's true, I still feel like it's more refreshing to personally drive the body and beat up those self-righteous preparatory team members like last year." Hearing his partner say this, Coach Wong could not help but roll his eyes. "You big guy who only knows how to fight all day." According to the original plan, the preparatory team members from last year would have at least a 60% pass rate. In the end, when you beat them up to your heart's content, the actual pass rate was only 30% of the original plan. Speaking until here, Coach Wong speechlessly slapped his forehead. "Forget it. Let's go. Let's go see that group of ignorant brats." And 5 minutes later, two figures, one tall and one short, appeared in the corridor and stood on the high platform under the gaze of many preparatory team members gathered in Naku. After the relatively short figure raised his hand and clapped twice, he slowly said, "Everyone, the preparatory team members who are about to become the new inspector. Hello, I'm the person in charge of activating the badge. You can call me Coach Wong. And he's the second person in charge of activating the badge, Oliver Tehenga." After Coach Wong introduced himself and his partner, there was a low murmur from the crowd below. "Tehenga? The Tehenga clan? Are you kidding me? Isn't the Tehenga clan always fighting against the Abyss? Why are they here?" This discussion was not stopped by Coach Wong and his partner, Oliver Tehenga. Instead, they deliberately allowed the preparatory team to communicate with each other. Therefore, Ray Minkai and Euphemia, who were also listening to the discussion, also subconsciously tried to obtain some useful information from the discussion. "Kai, who is the Tehenga clan?" Euphemia thought for a while, then she took out her personal terminal from her pocket. While trying to find relevant information from it, she asked Ray Minkai. Ray Minkai was naturally doing the same thing. It was just that his movements were faster than Euphemia's. When he saw the mountain-like Oliphant Tawonga appear, he immediately realized that this man might be the difficult person to get along with, as Shi Hui from the Ministry of Justice had mentioned. Tehenga clan. It's a civilization encountered by the SPF authority during a mission to investigate the Abyss. According to the mission records at that time, this race had successfully broken through the Level 1 civilization and entered the early stage of a Level 2 civilization. Unfortunately, when they successfully entered the early stage of a Level 2 civilization, they ushered in the invasion of the Abyss. Seeing this, Ray Minkai glanced at Euphemia and found that Euphemia had put her personal terminal back in her pocket. She leaned over and looked at the information on the holographic screen with Ray Minkai. When a reconnaissance fleet sent by the SPF authority came into contact with the Tehenga clan had already been fighting against the Abyss for at least half a world. Not only did the entire civilization lose their mother planet, but they were reduced to relying on only 10 colonial satellites to maintain the survival of the race. However, even so, even in the face of the destruction of their civilization and the extinction of their race, the Tehenga clan still chose to fight. They chose the fate of fighting against the Abyss until the last moment. At the end of this line of text, there was also a conclusion left by the fleet commander who came into contact with the Tehenga clan at that time. Fortunately, this group of Tehenga clan, who did not surrender to fate and bravely chose to fight, met us at the last moment of their fate. Since then, the Tehenga clan, with the boiling blood of warriors flowing in their veins, became the most loyal and trustworthy comrades of the S.P.F. Authority. After reading the text on the screen, Ray Minkai realized the meaning of Sure Huey's words. In the face of death, in the face of extinction, they had resolutely chosen to die standing rather than live kneeling. How could they easily let these newbies, who were no doubt equivalent to newborns, activate the badge so easily? Chapter 185. This is Tower 1 of the City of Stars, Turtle Dove 1 reporting current location. The hyperspace communication from behind came from the headset. Lei Minkai raised his hand and pressed several buttons in front of him before connecting to the transdimensional communication. This is Turtle Dove 1. Our current location is the X-063 hyperspace channel. There is still half an hour before contact with the predetermined target. End of report. After that, Ray Minkai released the communication button and waited for a reply from behind. Report confirmed. This is Tower 1. We have confirmed the location of Turtle Dove 1. Now the contact time between Turtle Dove 1 and the predetermined target has been revised from 30 minutes to 20 minutes. Please pay attention to navigation safety. When he heard that the contact time was shortened, Ray Minkai's eyes flashed with confusion. Tower 1. Is there an accident? No, it's not an accident. It's just that the hyperspace channel is affected by the space-time singularity, so there are signs of local space-time acceleration. This won't affect Turtle Dove 1's next mission. The tower's reply made Lei Minkai secretly heave a sigh of relief. After thanking them, Ray Minkai turned his head slightly and looked at Euphemia, sitting in the co-pilot seat. At this time, Euphemia had changed out of the white gauze dress and into a fitted pink and white spacesuit. Moreover, Euphemia, who was traveling in the hyperspace channel for the first time, was very happy. As long as she looked at the extraordinarily bizarre and colorful hyperspace channel outside, Euphemia could not help but take out her personal terminal. While looking up technical information related to the hyperspace channel, she tried to take pictures of everything she saw. Seeing this, Ray Minkai did not disturb Euphemia's mood too much, even if they were now in the test mission given by Coach Wong and Allaway. Now, Ray Minkai and Euphemia were in the hyperspace shuttle temporarily assigned to them by the administration. They were going to the depths of the X-063 hyperspace channel to find an unknown ship that suddenly appeared in the X-063 hyperspace channel, which was the test mentioned by Coach Wong and Allaway. Although this mission looked simple, when Ray Minkai accepted this mission, he was keenly aware that Allaway, who was standing behind Coach Wong, seemed to have a playful smile on his face. Maybe this won't be an easy mission, Ray Minkai secretly thought. However, Ray Minkai had no reason to give up the badge that was about to be activated in the position of inspector. As she pondered, Euphemia gradually stopped what she was doing and began to put her gadget away. Although Euphemia's first experience in the hyperspace channel while sober, she, with great perseverance, quickly suppressed the excitement and returned to work. Kai, how long until we reach the target? Euphemia's voice brought Ray Minkai back from his thoughts. Oh. 10 minutes left. We have to be ready. After Ray Minkai glanced at the timetable, he took off the helmet floating beside him and handed it to Euphemia. Come on, put on the helmet. We're about to make contact with the target. Uh-huh. After a while, the two put on their helmets and were ready to enter the void. Boom. Suddenly, there was a tremor in the hyperspace channel. It's here. Ray Minkai's eyes flashed, and he held the control lever of the shuttle tightly with both hands. AI, calculate the current position of the shuttle and the distance to the predetermined target. When Ray Minkai took control of the shuttle, Euphemia also issued instructions to the intelligent auxiliary AI equipped with the shuttle. The shuttle has currently entered the deep area of the hyperspace channel now. X063. It is now 1 minute away from meeting the predetermined target. The AI's faithful report made Ray Minkai's eyes narrowed. AI, report the time to meet the predetermined target. 1 minute away from meeting the predetermined target. The AI once again reported faithfully, which made Ray Minkai and Euphemia frown in unison. The tremor from the hyperspace channel did cause some turbulence in the shuttle driven by Ray Minkai, so Ray Minkai had to drive the shuttle that he had just obtained personally. There, Kai, look at the right side of the shuttle. Euphemia, who was looking around, suddenly raised her hand, pointed to the right side of the shuttle, and shouted. Ray Minkai looked back and found that a figure that was dozens of times longer and wider than the shuttle was braving the wind and waves from the screen of the hyperspace channel into the hyperspace channel. Its appearance made the tremor in the hyperspace channel at this time more violent, forcing Ray Minkai to concentrate on stabilizing the navigation posture of the shuttle again. In the grotesque waves, the huge figure finally passed through the screen of the hyperspace channel and completely entered the hyperspace channel. At this moment, as the strange streamers of the hyperspace channel disappeared from this figure one by one, Ray Minkai and Euphemia also saw the true appearance of this figure. What a huge ship! Euphemia subconsciously covered her small mouth and looked at the figure that occupied the entire screen in amazement, but still couldn't see the whole figure. This is not a ship. This is a colonial satellite. Ray Minkai's pupils shrank. When he realized what their mission target was, he immediately opened the communication channel again and sent a hyperspace communication back to the distant Xingyao city. Tower 1. This is Turtle Dove number 1. We have contacted the target. The target is not a space battleship, but a colonial satellite at least several kilometers long. When Ray Minkai's communication was sent back to Tower 1, it also caused a small commotion. Colonial satellite? How is that possible? The hyperspace channel is not a place that can be entered by a colonial satellite casually. Ala Huang glanced at the CIC lady who had a surprised expression on her face and chuckled. Maybe it's a lost person. In this chaotic era where despair and hope coexist, it's not surprising for any strange accidents to happen. Coach Wong was much calmer. He reached out and took the microphone of a CIC girl. This is Coach Wong. Ray Minkai, Euphemia, thank you for your hard work. Now, please keep synchronized with this unidentified colonial satellite and wait for the arrival of the follow-up troops we sent. Hearing Coach Wong's voice, Ray Minkai blinked, and a trace of doubt appeared on his face. Coach Wong, we passed the test just like that? Hearing this, Coach Wong looked up at Ali Huang. Obviously, his partner didn't accept this statement. However, the experienced Coach Wong knew that an unidentified colonial satellite that suddenly appeared in the hyperspace channel must have secrets and unpredictable dangers. Let's stop here. Ray Minkai, Euphemia, your current mission is changed from exploring the interior of the unidentified ship to maintaining a synchronous orbit with the unidentified colonial satellite before the arrival of the follow-up troops and monitoring the movements of the unidentified colonial satellite. As expected, Coach Wong's arrangement was almost within the expectations of Ray Minkai. However, Coach Wong's seemingly stable arrangement encountered a rapidly changing reality. Kai, look, it's accelerating. Euphemia, who focused her attention on the colonial satellite, pointed at the colonial satellite that suddenly began to accelerate and shouted. Ray Minkai looked and immediately accelerated the shuttle and tried to get closer to the colonial satellite. At the same time, he spoke of the current changes in the communication. Turtle Dove, 1 emergency report. Now we have found signs of the unidentified colonial satellite accelerating. It is suspected that it wants to escape from our monitoring range. Now Turtle Dove 1 is accelerating. Please give instructions. Accelerating? Coach Wong was taken aback and immediately looked at the CIC girl next to him. The CIC girl had already started the program to monitor the X-063 hyperspace channel to conduct real-time monitoring of the depths of the hyperspace channel. Report. The unidentified colonial satellite does show signs of acceleration. After half an hour, Turtle Dove 1 will lose the opportunity to track the unidentified colonial satellite because of its speed limit. Half an hour? Coach Wong, isn't this a good opportunity? If we just let people go up there, there shouldn't be any problems. When Coach Wong heard Ala Huang's words, his face sank. You mean to let them seize control of the colonial satellite? Isn't this obvious? It will take at least 45 minutes for the nearest fleet to catch up with them. Ala Huang glanced at the route map next to him. It was marked that the nearest patrol fleet to Ray Ming-Kai's Turtle Dove was at least some distance away. 45 minutes? In the end, Coach Wong approved of his partner's idea. Turtle Dove 1. Mission change. Do your best to land on the colonial satellite and seize the control center of the colonial satellite as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, Coach Wong was greeted by Lei Ming-Kai's voice, which was tinged with a hint of nervousness, excitement, and even more relief. Understood. Now, Turtle Dove 1 is fixed on the outer wall of the colonial satellite. My teammate Euphemia and I have already entered the colonial satellite and began to look for the control center. Report over. Looking at Coach Wong's somewhat confused expression, Ollie Huang couldn't help but laugh for a while. Ha ha! Coach, today's your day. I didn't expect that man and woman to have such powerful actions. They ran into the colonial satellite without receiving orders. Coach Wong, who shook his head and returned the microphone to the CIC girl, sighed slightly. No, this may be the best result. Inspectors are not soldiers. They often wander on the edge of the abyss. What they need is not to rigidly execute orders, but to flexibly take actions suitable for the current situation. If that's the case, then they've already passed. Ala Wang nodded. At least, they have to return safely. Inform the patrol fleet closest to Turtle Dove 1 to support Turtle Dove 1 as soon as possible. Understood. Let's not talk about how Coach Wong would respond for the time being. Ray Ming-Kai's side had a different appearance. UFFI, let me do the physical work. Ray Ming-Kai, who was standing in front of the huge airlock, raised his hand to signal Euphemia to step back. He raised his hands, held the handle of the airlock, and slowly twisted it. Ka! Ka! Feeling the vibration transmitted from the handle to his hands, Ray Ming-Kai knew that the airlock was not sealed and could still be used. Therefore, Ray Ming-Kai pulled down the handle in one go. At that moment, a gust of air suddenly pushed open the airlock that had a gap and wantonly vented the air that had been silent for a long time into the vacuum of nothingness. On the other hand, Ray Ming-Kai had a look of lingering fear. In that split second, Lei Ming-Kai was almost hit by the sudden opening of the airlock. If Ray Ming-Kai's instinctive reaction was not strong enough, perhaps Ray Ming-Kai's helmet and mask would have been destroyed. Kai, are you okay? Euphemia reached out to hold the wall, floated to Ray Ming-Kai's side, and asked with concern. I'm okay. It's just a moment of carelessness. Ray Ming-Kai shook his head, smiled at Euphemia, bent his legs, and gently stepped on the wall and floated to the open airlock. Euphemia, do you still have the engineering box? After looking at the environment behind the airlock, Ray Ming-Kai shouted on the private channel established with Euphemia. Here. Euphemia took a suitcase from behind, imitated Ray Ming-Kai, stepped on the wall, floated to Ray Ming-Kai's side, and handed the engineering box to Ray Ming-Kai. Next, the two passed through the opened airlock and stepped into the unknown inner world of the colonial satellite. There is no gravity, but it is still accelerating. Ray Ming-Kai reached out and touched the still smooth wall, feeling the tremors from the distance. Kai, here. There seems to be text here. On the other side, along the handle on the wall, Euphemia carefully explored the surroundings and found a nameplate with suspected text. Ray Ming-Kai leaned over to take a look and found that the text above had a sense of familiarity, but he couldn't tell what was written inside. Maybe it's a road sign. Ray Minkai looked around, opened the engineering box, took out 2 balls, and handed them to Euphemia. UFFI, come, take it in your hand, hold it flat. Euphemia nodded and took the 2 balls in her palm. Then, as Ray Minkai pressed a button on the keyboard that popped out from the engineering box, the 2 balls buzzed and flew out from Euphemia's palm. In the blink of an eye, the 2 balls flew in opposite directions and flew into the depths of the colonial satellite along the tunnel. At the same time, during the flight, flashing lasers were emitted from their sides and constantly scanned the surrounding situation. The data they scanned was all fed back to the holographic screen projected by the engineering box in front of Ray Minkai, without missing anything. This is one of the common equipment of the inspector. Euphemia looked at the engineering box that was constantly drawing maps in amazement. I have to say, this engineering box alone already makes people feel that the inspector profession is very impressive. Ray Minkai smiled. He didn't expect that the engineering box distributed by Coach Wong and Ala Huang before departure would have such a big effect. Beep beep. After a while, a yellow dot lit up on the holographic map. It seems that the target has been found, but the road there doesn't seem to be peaceful. Ray Minkai glanced at the ball that had traveled a distance. The moment the yellow light lit up, he suddenly cut off the connection with the engineering box. UFFI. Take it. You should know how to use it, right? Ray Minkai took out 2 pistols from the bottom of the engineering box and handed one of them to Euphemia. Euphemia nodded and took the pistol from Ray Minkai. In fact, Euphemia had another option, which was to return a Turtle Dove 1 and wait for Ray Minkai's signal. However, Euphemia didn't take the initiative to propose this option, and Ray Minkai didn't suggest it either. Therefore, under the tacit understanding of the two, they began the first step of exploring this unknown colonial satellite. Chapter 186. In the dim and deathly silent corridor, a tiny but unusually bright light shone. It quickly spread from one point to another, from a single point of light to countless rays of light of varying length. They quickly scanned up, down, left, and right of the aisle one by one, and the data obtained from the scan was uploaded to the system installed in the engineering box at the back through the communication module. The body of this light, the little guy that Ray Minkai called the exploration flyball, had other identical companions. They carried out high-speed exploration work in every corridor in this colonial satellite. Kai, is it here? Euphemia, who was wearing a spacesuit, with a pistol at her waist and an engineering box in her hands, looked up at the steel door in front of her and the exploration flyball that was constantly hovering. Well, it should be here. Ray Minkai nodded and looked back at the map projected from the engineering box. If the other exploration flyballs don't find anything in a short period of time, then we can only explore what is behind this steel door first. Upon hearing this, Euphemia lowered her head and looked at the projected map. The projected map in front of Ray Minkai and the others continued to expand as the number of exploratory flying balls increased to more than 10, and they continued to explore. Every second that passed, new map information would be added to the projected map. Now, in front of Ray Minkai and Euphemia, there is only the steel door marked with a yellow signal by the exploration flyball. Let's start. Ray Minkai waved his right hand, and the exploration flyball that was hovering in front of the steel door returned to Ray Minkai's palm. After Ray Minkai reached out and pressed an invisible button on it, the exploration flyball transformed into the form of a spider robot in the blink of an eye. With a few hops, it jumped out of Ray Minkai's palm and ran to the combination lock beside the steel door with its slender limbs. As a beam of light shot out from the top of the spider robot, the work of deciphering the steel door began. UFFI. Hide well. Ray Minkai, who was always paying attention to the progress of the spider robot, immediately sent a warning to Euphemia when he saw the red light on the spider robot's body turn green. He took the lead to lean against the door and cautiously watched the steel door that was slowly opening under the control of the spider robot. Rumble, in the vibration of the steel door slowly opening, the spider robot jumped from the combination lock. After jumping a few times on the ground, it turned around and rushed in through the gap of the steel door without fear. After a while, Ray Minkai, who estimated that the spider robot could see the situation inside, waved his hand behind him. Euphemia showed the image displayed on the toolbox to Ray Minkai. It looks like a square. Euphemia herself wasn't sure what kind of place the spider robot was looking at. Lei Minkai shook his head after carefully studying the image provided by the spider robot. Let's go take a look with our own eyes. An unknown purple gas slowly circulated in the air, occupying more than half of this seemingly vast space. Under this unknown purple gas, there were countless metal cabinets about 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide that were neatly placed here. These metal cabinets seemed to be arranged according to some kind of mathematical law, and they were gathered one by one into a square array. As far as the eye could see, Lei Minkai could see no less than 50 of these square arrays formed by countless metal cabinets, even though they were shrouded by the purple gas. What exactly is this? Goods? Euphemia frowned. She raised her hand and signaled the spider robot that was waiting for a new order to turn back into the exploratory flyball and had it quickly circle around the area. We can see with our naked eyes the square array. We have already confirmed 58 of them. Every square array is made up of 121 metal cabinets. Euphemia said briefly as she summarized the data returned from the exploratory flyball. 58 square arrays. Each array is made up of 121 metal cabinets. Ray Minkai's eyes suddenly narrowed. For some reason, he felt that the scene in front of him seemed to be familiar. He just couldn't remember where he had seen it before. UFFI. If I say that the things stored in these metal cabinets are people, would you believe me? When she heard Ray Minkai's baseless speculation, Euphemia's hands froze first. Then she shook her head again and again, but she didn't say anything. Although Euphemia didn't know why Ray Minkai suddenly said this, according to the previous observation of the colonial satellite's length of about 10 kilometers, it meant that the number of metal cabinets hidden in the purple gas was far more than the total number of metal cabinets they could see. We can see more than 7,000 metal cabinets. If there are more metal cabinets in the purple gas, as you speculated, doesn't it mean that there are at least hundreds of thousands of people here and human-like creatures are stored in these metal cabinets? As soon as Euphemia said this, she was shocked by her own speculation. Maybe. Compared to Euphemia, who was frightened by her own speculation, Ray Minkai was much calmer. Although, he was not sure whether his speculation was correct. Hundreds of thousands of people are packed in metal cabinets? With this idea alone, Ray Minkai felt that it was absurd. However, no matter how they speculated, they had to investigate the situation in front of them. Moreover, Ray Minkai and the others still had to seize control of this colonial satellite to prevent it from continuing to wander in the space-time channel. UFFI. What about the other exploratory flyballs? Before trying to enter the purple gas, Ray Minkai asked, "The exploration has been completed. It is returning to our current location." After Euphemia pulled up the work status of all the exploratory flyballs, she found that except for the exploratory flyballs in the same place as them, the rest of the exploratory flyballs had completed their mission. Really? It seems that this is the right path. Even if we don't want to go, we have to go. Ray Minkai turned his hands over, quickly checked the status of the pistol, and nodded. UFFI. When the exploratory flyballs return, let them be the vanguard. This purple gas really makes people panic. 10 minutes later, the purple gas that was slowly flowing at a fixed speed was suddenly torn apart by a gust of wind, revealing a path leading to the depths of the gas. In a flash, a fluorescent light flew quickly, plunging into the depths of the path that had just been torn apart and moving toward the unknown area. The same situation was also playing out in every corner of the purple gas. And the cause of this change was Ray Minkai and Euphemia, who found an exit among these exploratory flyballs. It has been 10 minutes since we entered this unknown gas. It seems that the number of these metal cabinets is far beyond our imagination. Looking around vigilantly, Ray Minkai, who was protecting Euphemia behind him, carefully looked around and looked at the area that had been explored by the exploratory flyballs. Ah, Kai, look over there. All of a sudden, Euphemia shrieked and raised her hand to pat Lei Minkai's shoulder forcefully. Ray Minkai turned around and pointed his gun in the direction Euphemia pointed, but what he saw made his face change color. Between the row of metal cabinets on the right side of Ray Minkai and Euphemia, there was an open metal cabinet. However, this was not the reason why Ray Minkai and Euphemia were surprised. The reason why they were surprised was that at the bottom of the metal cabinet, there was a skeleton crawling out from the metal cabinet. The grayish-white skeleton. It looked like it had a compact design, but now it was tattered clothes, and the finger that extended forward and did not retract until death. Kai, be careful. Euphemia subconsciously pulled Ray Minkai, who wanted to go over to check the situation. Don't worry. It's okay. Ray Minkai gently patted Euphemia's little hand. But to be on the safe side, Ray Minkai still recalled the 3 exploratory flyballs near them and began to scan with their current position as the center. It's a human. Ray Minkai squatted down next to the skeleton, and after studying it, he came to a conclusion that surprised even himself. Human? Euphemia finally overcame her fear and came to Ray Minkai's side and whispered, "Yes, it's a human." Ray Minkai took out his personal terminal and entered the data obtained from the skeleton in front of him one by one. The answer obtained by the personal terminal was the same as Ray Minkai's. If it's a human, then does this colonial satellite come from the Gouda world? Euphemia thought for a while and came to a speculation based on the information she could currently grasp. No, maybe not. Ray Minkai stood up and looked around, looking at the unknown purple gas that was still permeating the surroundings. From a moment he saw the unknown purple gas, Ray Minkai consciously let the exploratory flyball try to analyze the composition of the unknown gas. The result made Ray Minkai puzzled. The unknown purple gas wasn't harmful. On the contrary, it was a kind of medicine that could make creatures in a long-term emotional state. In other words, as long as Ray Minkai and Euphemia took off their helmets at this time, they would immediately be forced into a certain emotional state by the unknown purple gas and stay here until they died. Beep, beep. At this moment, the exploratory flyballs that penetrated deep into the unknown purple gas suddenly sent back an emergency signal. Kai, the exploratory flyball seems to have found the exit. Let's go. Fortunately, shortly after Ray Minkai and Euphemia left the skeleton, they saw a strange square vehicle parked on the side of the road. Although Ray Minkai and Euphemia had some doubts about the strange square vehicle, in order to buy time, they still tried to use the decryption ability of the exploratory flyball and successfully started the strange vehicle. Another 10 minutes passed. During these 10 minutes, Ray Minkai saw more and more skeletons as he drove the strange vehicle. Some of the skeletons not only crawled out of the metal cabinets, but also walked a distance to the main road before falling on the side of the road, until the moment of death arrived. What the hell happened in this place? The more she saw the skeletons, the more frightened Euphemia was of the scene in front of her. It was as if in the depths of the unknown purple gas, a figure called the Grim Reaper was quietly approaching the two of them. UFFI, calm down. No matter what it is, we will see its true face soon. Sensing the change in Euphemia's mood, Ray Minkai reached out and shook Euphemia's small hand, trying to give her courage. Under the comfort of Ray Minkai, Euphemia's emotions gradually calmed down. Moreover, in the unknown purple gas in front of them, they were constantly drawing circles of light. More and more exploratory flyballs were gathering here. Without a doubt, in the depths of the unknown purple gas, another steel door blocked Ray Minkai and Euphemia's path forward. But under the operation of Ray Minkai and Euphemia, who were starting to become familiar with the process, this steel door did not take them much time and was slowly opened. Seeing that the gap in the steel door was getting bigger and bigger, the slowly flowing unknown purple gas also began to roll along the gap and rushed into the unknown space behind the steel door. Ray Minkai and Euphemia raised their pistols at the same time. At the same time that the exploratory flyballs turned into spider robots entered the steel door, they rushed in one after another. As soon as he entered the door, Ray Minkai was stunned. The broken wall. It was a pipe that hung from the ceiling, but it was broken and seemed to be very old. The floor that looked like it was paved with steel plates, but it was rusty. In front of them, where the railing should be erected, there were only 2 or 3 broken iron pipes silently recounting the past years. The dilapidated state of the room and the huge space filled with metal cabinets outside were like heaven and earth. This is the control center of the colonial satellite. Euphemia, who was also shocked by the dilapidated scene in front of her, put down her pistol, and her face was full of disbelief. If the exploration program of the exploratory flyballs is not wrong, this should be the control center of this colonial satellite, even if it looks so dilapidated and rusty. Ray Minkai also smiled bitterly. However, just when they were in disbelief at the scene in front of them, a hoarse voice, as if there were countless iron sand in the throat, suddenly sounded and echoed in this dilapidated space for a long time. Who is it? Who is disturbing the sleep of the Emperor of the universe? As soon as the voice sounded, the pipes hanging from the ceiling seemed to have begun to move. The rusty floor was also rumbling, as if something was about to rush out from below and tear Ray Minkai and Euphemia apart. In the face of this strange phenomenon, Ray Minkai protected Euphemia behind him while guiding Euphemia to retreat slowly toward the open door behind them. Who is it? Who is disturbing the sleep of the overlord of the universe? Another angry roar rang out. The strange thing was that although the roar this time was still hoarse and unpleasant to the ears, it was much better than the previous one. Boom! Suddenly, in the center of this dilapidated and rusty room, there was a violent explosion. Countless dust, sand, and even iron pieces mixed in it were lifted into the air in this explosion, and then fell from the air with tinkling sounds, smashing on the ground. Who is it? Who is disturbing the universe? Dang! Just before the roar finished, a piece of iron fell from the sky like a celestial soldier and smashed it back. It hurts! Which bastard is hitting me? Suddenly, Ray Minkai and Euphemia looked at each other. The state of extreme vigilance from before had mostly subsided at this time. Maybe this voice that claims to be the overlord of the universe is an idiot? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.